Hei taas suunnistuksen ystävät! Meillä on erittäin mielenkiintoinen sunnuntaipäivä edessä, kun vuorossa on Viestiliigan 3. osakilpailu Lakeuden viesti täällä Seinäjoella. Sekä miehillä että naisilla on 3 osuutta edessään, aimo annos pohjalaista maastoa ja kuka tietää mitä säidenhaltija meille vielä tänään täällä tarjoilee. Lakeuden viesti on samalla sitten viimeinen koitos ennen 3 viikon päästä koittavaa Jukolan ja Venlojen viestiä. Tässä saammekin samalla oivat suuntaviivat siihen, mitä joukkueella kenties on silloin sitten luvassaan. Näin on Lakeuden viesti tosiaan meillä tässä alkamassa. Päästään ensin seuraamaan miesten viestiä kello 11. Sitten naisten viesti alkaa 12.30, joten kun miesten viesti tulee maaliin arviolta 12.51, niin siinä sitten samanaikaisesti seuraamme molempia viestejä. Ja sitten naisten arvioitu maaliin tulo voittaa joukkueella 14.21. Mikko Patana, sulla on paljon kokemusta täältä Seinäjoen maastoista. Mitä tärppejä sä nyt tässä näkisit tähän Lakeuden viestiin?
No joo, eilen tosiaan avattiin tämä Pohjanmaan kiertue tuolla SM-keskimatkalla ja tänään ollaan huomattavasti perinteisemmässä pohjalaisessa maastossa. Et jos eilen oltiin isossa kivikoissa ja ylämäissä, niin tänään on sitten semmoista perinteisempää suota tarjolla.
Okei, ja entä sitten, kun tässä Jukolan viesti on enää 3 viikkoa, joukkueet on aika kovia, 3 juoksia per joukkue pelkästään, niin millainen tämän rooli sun mielestä on nyt Jukolan ja Venlojen viestin alla?
No joo, kyllä näkyy selvästi se, että iso määrä joukkueita on ilmoittautunut, ja vaikka nyt niin maajoukkuesuunnistajia ja sinne maajoukkueeseen pyrkiviä on poissa ja matkalla katsastuksiin, niin isosti on joukkueet ilmoittautunut mukaan ja selvästi haetaan niitä viimeisiä asetelmia Jukolan viestiin.
No, tämä on kyllä jännittävä päivä meillä tässä edessä ja lähdetään jännityksellä seuraamaan sitten tästä ensin miesten viestiä. Ja Lakeuden viesti tässä ihan kohta alkamassa, miesten viesti, Turun metsänkävijöiden aloittaja Esa Huttunen. Te olette tosi isolla porukalla aina mukana ja aktiivisesti osallistutte Viestiliigaan. Millainen merkitys Turun metsänkävijöille Viestiliigalla on?
No en mä tiedä mitä näissä kiehtoo sitten, että aina halutaan olla mukana. Onhan nämä jotenkin hauskoja tapahtumia.
No entäs sitten Antti Saikko, Pyrinän tänään aloittava juoksija, niin miten teillä on mahtava kokemus juuri tuosta toinen sija taustalla Tiiumiilasta ja nyt ollaan kohti Jukolaa menossa, niin millaisena ponnistuslautana tämä sinne toimii?
Kyllähän nämä Viestiliigan kisat on ihan loistavia treenejä noita isompia viestejä varten ja pääsee porukas juokseen ja tiukkoihin paikkoihin itse kukin joutuu, niin nämä on ihan tosi loistavia välietappeja. Esimerkiksi just Jukolaa katsoin nyt tästä kohdin.
No jos sitten kysytään vielä molempien tavoitteita tänään, niin mitäs Tumella tänään tavoitteina?
No tietenkin ensinnäkin haetaan kokemusta ja sitten se sijatavoite on varmaan taas se 4, se on aika vakio meille.
Entäs Pyrinte?
No, meillä taisi olla 1 rinnassa ja siellä on kovat kaverit. 2. ja 3. osuudella hyvässä kunnossa, niin ei kai tässä muuta voittoa lähdetään hakemaan.
No niin, lähdetään katsomaan, tuleeko voitto ja 4. sija.
Train brilliantly with Forerunner. See every running insight lit up on a bright AMOLED display. And get ready to be better for it. Only from Garmin.
Sinä tekniikan alan ammattilaisena tai opiskelijana tiedät hyvin, että elämässä sattuu ja tapahtuu. Välillä mukavia ja välillä vähän vähemmän mukavia. Onneksi Insinööriliitto on olemassa, jotta sinun ei tarvitse yksin puolustaa etujasi. Liiton jäsenyys on työelämän vakuutus. Se antaa sinulle oikeudellista turvaa ja tukea. Keskity huolettomammin omaan uraasi, verkostoidu ja muista pitää myös hauskaa. Lue lisää ilry.fi.
Maanmittausala on suunnistajalle hyvä vaihtoehto siksi, että tässä saa olla tosi paljon karttojen kanssa tekemisissä ja sitten pääsee maastossa kulkemaan työpäivien aikana.
Kaikki, mitä pitää tietää metsästä. Milloin suoritetaan ensiharvennus?
No ei ainakaan viimeisenä.
Oikeaa tietoa tuottavasta metsän omistamisesta saat Suomen laajimmasta metsämediasta. MT Metsä.
So welcome then to the third round of the Finnish Relay League. We have got some great couple of races coming up. If you're watching and taking a look at the subtitles beforehand, you can see we've got two relays coming up. We've got the men's and the women's, 3 legs on each. The first one getting underway in about 5 minutes' time. You can see a lot of the teams just getting ready in this terrain, trying to figure out what their plans are. It's very, very typical, so I've been told, Finnish terrain for this part of Finland. We are about an hour inland from Vasa, and it's very kind of rocky but swampy terrain as well here in Seinäjoki. And the men today, they've got about 7.4 kilometres for each of their legs. The women's relay looking more like 6. So we are then at this third of the 7 competitions that make up this Finnish Relay League. And today we are missing quite a few of the top names. I think a lot of those international runners, those who are aiming for the World Championships, they will have headed to the mountains straight after Tiomila. But today, as it's really a chance for the teams and the clubs to show off their depth and maybe make those last kind of choices about who is going to run in their teams for Jukala, which, as you can see there, is coming up very, very shortly. Here's how the teams line up. In the men's, we've had Tampere Printer winning both of the relays so far. Both Finspring in April and Cavation earlier in May, but it is a different team again. This time, only Alexi Saucer is the kind of common link on this team. But Ikalisten, Niseva Voima, again, look out for them. They've had 2 second places as well. We can also look out for the Tampere Printer second team as well. We've got the winner of the yesterday's middle distance race in the Finnish Championships, Lauri Nenenen, is going to start for Kalevan Rasti. But overall, we've got 92 teams entered for this men's relay, which is a very impressive field to put together for the races that we've got today. There are also different age class races going on as well, but we will, of course, focus on these elites. And as you can see, lots of clubs having multiple teams. Housing and Synestia out there with their 4th team. So lots of club members going to go and tear around these forests. It's going to get very, very busy out there. And as usual, lots of anticipation building here for the start of the relay. You can see some of the teams just in amongst the pack there, getting ready to head out. And they line up like this. So Juho Ilinen goes first for Ikilisten Niseva Voima. Not sure where the TP team is, where the Tampere Printer team is, though. Turin Metsenkeviat, Isa Hyttinen is on the first leg for them. Again, a different team from the one which came third in Finspring and fourth in Cavation earlier on in May. Here's the second Tampere Printer team. Topias Helminen in first. There we go. Anti-Psycho is leading them out. Alexis also, as I said, is the only kind of common link between that on that first Tampere Printer team from all of the races so far. Here's Helsingin Sinistiat and Inari Heinero to lead them off. And for MS Palmer, it's Eero Heinonen. Then we have Pamian Rassi, their first team. Topias Arola is the lead out runner for them. You can see how everybody's just getting their maps. IF Braha, Otto Grippenberg. They've got the very experienced Frederick Portin on middle leg for them. And for 77, Emil Sibelius will be their lead first leg runner. Turin Sinistiat, Daniel Fomin. And we're also going to highlight TP3, Tampere Printer 3, as we look towards the second line of runners leading up. Lots of nerves as usual as the runners get ready to head out into the terrain. There's Belgian runner Yannick Michels on the first leg for Turin Metzenkeviat, team number 2. Much better known as a sprinter, of course. And the teams, they've got seconds to go now before they start the race and are able to get the first glimpse of what is going on with the map. Got lots of cheering from the club members, but it's quiet on the line. People checking their compasses, just there they go, and quick acceleration out of the line to start on their 7.4 kilometre course. Oh no, someone's lost the map. I've got to try and catch up now, and it's quite a long run out towards the start control here. The arena is in a food manufacturing company site. You can see all these panels there, but they've got quite a long run out into the terrain. And we get a small sense of the terrain that is going to await them. It's very flat. It is very marshy. Lots of kind of point features. It's going to be really, really tough. This is a reminder of the team wearing bib number 2 with 2 second places so far. Eetu Savolainen, again, is the man who links them all together, has been in both of those teams that have come second. And we catch up with them now, again, heading into the terrain. They've got to run around an out of bounds area and then around all this kind of machinery and everything. It really is a long way out into the terrain. A lot of kind of free running. But it is Ikilisten Niseva Voima in the lead, Helsingin Synestia as well, taking the early lead. It looks like they are only 100-150 metres away or so from the actual start kite, and then they really get thrown into a couple of forkings straight away on this course. The GPS tracking is available to watch alongside if you so wish. Here we go. Coming up towards the start triangle now. And already kind of some free meters, chance to get a little bit ahead of everybody, get splitting them up before they head then into the terrain. So that was the start kite. And there's a choice to where you want to dive into this semi-open area. And then there is some section of green stripe undergrowth here, so we can get a little chance to see about, as you can see, our running camera not finding it a little bit tricky to run through there. You can see all those small trees just reduce that visibility quite a lot.
Ikallisten nouseva voima lähtee tutusti taas kovilla joukkueilla matkaan. Juho Ylinen, aloitusosuus edessä. Millaisia tavoitteita Lakeuden viestiin?
No meillä vähän kävi huonosti tällä kertaa, että ykkösjoukkueesta 2 miestä joutui jäämään pois ja itsekin nousin tuosta kakkosjoukkueesta, mutta koen, että ei meillä kyllä joukkueen taso yhtään heikentynyt tässä. Että ihan lähdetään voitosta kamppailemaan taas tänään.
No tää kuulostaa hyvältä. Miten sitten Jukolan viestiin? Ei enää hirveän montaa viikkoa jäljellä, niin millä miettein sinne suuntaatte?
No Tiumilla oli vähän semmoinen kokonaissuoritus, vähän ehkä alakanttiin mitä toivottiin, että lähdetään sitä kuitenkin paljon parantamaan ja kyllä mä uskaltaisin sanoa, että sinne 10 sakkiin lähdetään haastamaan. Että monesti ei ehkä uskalla sijoja sanoa, mutta kyllä mä uskallan 10 sakkia. Se on semmoinen, että se ei vaadi mitään ihmettekoja, mutta totta kai vaatii onnistuneita vetoja. Ja tässä nyt onneksi vielä muutama viikko aikaa nostaa kuntoon sinne.
No niin, toivotaan onnistuneita vetoja sekä tänään että Jukolassa.
Jes, kiitos. Sinulle terveistä.
So yeah, you can really hear that Jukala it's definitely always the main focus for the clubs in the season, but we're really approaching that now. So all the teams kind of just into their final preparations, and now we can really be in amongst the runners as they head towards the first couple of controls. And now we get our first little look at the GPS. So really, that's quite an interesting and bold choice made by a couple of the teams to, as you kind of see, that going in a different direction. And it's really looking to pay off for them here as they head down the track. You can just see how much speed they've managed to pick up compared to all of the runners who we saw who were going through the terrain. It looked quite slow, quite tricky here with that heavy and rusty runner, and they seem to have done really well to make that decision on that first leg. And it does all depend on which exact first control you do have. Maybe definitely having A makes more sense to go round. C is the most southerly controls, so much more tempting to go straight on that one. Picking out the sections of marsh, the slightly higher sections of rock, but everyone on their compass. And we will very close shortly be here towards the first couple of controls. There we go. So that looks like 1C. Of course, you can see runners there who haven't got that control are coming across that control, just having an extra check of the map. Then, of course, they need to keep going. The visibility here is just fantastic. It's very, very typical sections of bare rock. And now it seems quite chaotic with runners going in all sorts of different directions. There's the boulder there. Probably 1A. And this where all sorts of runners are going in all those different directions. Quite a clever forking in that it gets people going in all those different directions. You really need to not... There's so many controls. We've seen about, 4 controls in the last minute or so. I think that must be 2B. And now a lot of those runners heading out then of this first section to a lot more of the swampier section, to head over towards control number 3. You've got people running in all sorts of directions, and you've really just got to keep your own plan, and that's what makes running first leg, particularly of a relay, so important. Maybe a lot of the teams here just testing out their runners on first leg, see who's going to be able to do that the best. But you can see Heinonen there for MS Palmer has gone a lot further ahead than the rest. Maybe being able to take a small gap. It's already split up quite a lot. Maybe a lot of those close to the 2, at least this red line, have had 2A. Darren Metzen coming out also up there, really, really close. So to Ikalisten Nuseva Voima. And a lot of the ones we might expect to be in amongst the leaders. Temporary Printer a little bit behind at the moment, but not doing too badly, as again we get another sense of what it is like on some of these very small hills. It's a lot of kind of single contour features, and it's a 2.5 meter contour interval today, so even flatter than it seems. And you've got to maybe watch out for those small changes in vegetation, small changes in relief, and really keep close to the compass. Here's the control. And here's our leaders. This looks like Helsing and Sinistiat, I think. Number 21. Ottakario is our leader. There is the MS Palmer 1. And they're, of course, 2 second places so far in the league. Ikilisten Niseva as well. Yannick Mikkels, the Belgian runner, doing strongly there. The two Turin Metz and Kvyat teams, in fact 2 and 3, are doing better than their first team at the moment. There's Tampere Printer 1. A couple of teams from Lynx are there as well. And now it gets to be a little bit of a melee. Watch out for Calvin Rasti. That was one of the teams there. From Terry Silverloinen. And now we've got, 42 teams within 1 minute. And a big long train here from the 92 teams we had on the start line. So that was the first common control. And they head again further east into the terrain for another forking next. Again, I think so much of this is going to be heading straight, making sure that you're using your compass really, really well. And there we go, nearly 80 teams through at the moment within those 2 minutes. And with the visibility this good, you can really just try and lock eyes on the runner in front. All right, let's have another catch up into the next control. Again, as we've got another forking here. And we've seen actually some splitting up here, maybe trying to find some good lines through the terrain. So Metz and Kvyat 2 going much further north, maybe trying to pick out some of those rock shapes on the way in towards the control, whereas some of the others going very, very closely together and maybe picking out some of that semi-open area with the small bushes. The runability, yes, I was going to say the runability could be probably quite bad in there, so people sticking in towards the White Forest. And the Tampere Printer team taking that small hill. Ikilisten Niseva is again using that vegetation boundary to head in towards the control. And again, this is another one of those forkings where they're not really spread wide as much, but more spread in length. So quite a lot of runners could approach the E control first, for example, but then they've got D. Just need to make sure there's not too much hesitation to get in there. And I guess once you get to this area, maybe cross the stream now, as the Turin Metz and Kvyat second team is doing, then just got to be really distinct with the contour interpretation. But no real problems for any of these top teams, I think. We just need to watch out for Kuvi and Pampura here. Let's hope they've got the E control. Yeah, looks like no problem for both Navi and Kuve there. As they start to head towards control number 5. And control number 5, it looks like initially a battle of trying to get around some of the green. You could see just how these kind of small deciduous trees really lower the visibility. Not so much the runnability, but the visibility definitely is impeded. And of course, it's just so much harder to stay on the straight line on your compass bearing when you've got that green, when you've got the undergrowth around you. It's a lot more difficult. Okay, recap then of the standings at the previous control number 3. Otto Kari with the best start for Helsingin Sestiat, team number 3, and Iro Heinonen for MS Palmer 1 were the 2 top teams. It's very, very early days though. Lauri Neninen, yesterday's winner of the middle distance for Calvin Rasti, watch out for him. He's in 7th place. But a lot of kind of second teams doing slightly better than the first teams at this point. It's very, very early days though. But I'm sure there's a lot of second team runners who might be wanting to put in a good stretch to put their case towards being picked for the first team for Jukala. And particularly wanting to demonstrate their skills as a first leg runner. It's such a specialist thing for orienteers who are so used to competing individually, competing without anybody around them. It's such an individual sport, but with all of these relays in Finland, it's such a good chance to get proper relay specialist runners and first leg specialist runners as well. Everyone's honing then in on control number 5. Everybody's kind of come together, although I think we've lost a few of the GPS trackers in the midst there. I think it seems that whichever way you went, it was fairly similar. You could see all the runners splitting up to go round the section of green and the big stream there. But not too many problems for this one. Then again, we have another couple of forked controls, lots of good forkings on this relay. And again, this one's it's slightly different. It's going to spread them quite wide, as you can see there. HD and I really got to go on quite a distinct compass bearing, not follow anybody at all. But I think it's a team Kangasala, MS Palmer. You can see no problems at all for here. Paimon Rasti and Arola looks to have got a bit of a gap, although I'm not sure we've got all the top teams on here. But the speed seems high for all of these runners, and it's just a case of picking out these contour shapes. Again, it's a 2.5 meter contour interval, and we've got some form line contours in there as well. So it's really about just kind of appreciating the subtleness of all of these contours and making sure you're taking a look at all those marshes as well. Now we've got to sense a few more of those top teams, and it still looks like it is Juho Ilinen from Ikkalisten. Nivaseva Voima is still kind of leading the way. Turin Metzenkeviat also up there with Isa Huttunen. But really kind of no mistakes seen yet on the GPS tracker. I think the visibility is too good, at least here. It's going to be more of those route choices maybe. And here we are back with them. This is Helsingin Sinisiat, I think. It's the first team. It's Einari Heinaro. And there's about to be a lot of marsh running. I certainly know there's more than a few teams who do some marsh intervals. But this will all be very expected from this very typical terrain for this part of Finland. Here in Seinäjoki, and you can see maybe just picking up some of those kind of hills in between. So Otto Kallio leading the way at the moment. And everybody, yeah, as you could see from the picture there, picking up this kind of small section of hills in the middle of the marsh. Head over towards control number 8. Here we go. This looks like this is the next section of hill with the bare rock, and the control is towards the end of it. No problems here for Otto Kallio, and let's have a little look. Here's the chasers. Calivan Rusty, that is not their top team. That looks like Calivan Rusty 3. And Calivan Rusty Ron, Lauri Neninen. So 2 of those Calivan Rusty teams near the top. Here we go. Here is Ikilisten Niseva Voima. And Tampere Perinto as well, MS Palmer, Turin Metzenkeviat. I don't know if that's Espen Sinter as well. There's Kuvi team 17. That's their first team with Daniel Pampura on the first leg. They've got Timo Sild on the last leg. He took silver medal in yesterday's middle distance. The very experienced Estonian national team runner. And now we have this big melee of all of the teams. Another MS Palmer team in there as well. Another Kuvi team. This team number 9. OK, 77. So it seems like similar teams at the front, but still a little bit of chopping and changing. I wonder if this is control number 9. We'll see them approach very, very shortly. Coming out of the marsh towards this hill. And we are at the 4.7 kilometres, 26 minutes roughly of racing. We've got a couple of Calivan Rusty shirts there, and the Helsingin Sinisiat as well. A little bit of a pause there too. Here is Juho Irinen for KMV. And now, so those 4, I guess, do seem to have a little bit of a gap on the rest of the pack, but it is not really enough to say that they're the rest of the pack will have lost sight of them. Very, very even here. I think actually the absence of a lot of the first team national runners who've, I think, pretty much after Tiomila headed straight to the mountains to prepare for the World Championships, which are going to be in Switzerland in July. It's going to really, really even things out here between a lot of the teams. I think we'll see that in the women's relay as well. A little bit of a gap now. Again, 40 teams in about a minute. It's probably what we saw at the first TV split as well. And so far, a lot of the top teams still kind of in that leading group. Not too many mistakes, at least amongst even these top 50 teams. It's only very kind of small hesitations in running speed so far. Just trying to keep an eye out, see if any of the favourites have really dropped down the list. It's the second team from MS Palmer. But at the moment, it feels like no big surprises. And really now, there's a few kind of longer controls, but the team's really heading back towards the arena already after these 26 minutes of running. Okay, let's catch up. That was the control number 9, the one we've just seen in the picture. Not got every single team on the GPS tracking. You can see they're just trying to pick up this track, get the best areas for runnability. And then you can use these vegetation boundaries quite clearly to get to these quite tricky controls just on the kind of slope going downhill here, and it's quite tricky to get a good attack point into this one. So back live then, it's a 30-second trail. So you can really get a little bit more of a sense now of a few of those teams out in the lead with a little bit of a gap. Kind of a bit like a top 4 teams maybe had a small gap. Okay, now we get a sense of who has got which one. So the Calavan Rasti team with Nenanen absolutely spot on there for K. Although now going back up the other way, so I'm not really sure what is going on there. Oh no, that makes a sense just as being a direction. So maybe those who've got J are going to have to break off a little bit from that pack. Doesn't seem to be too many mistakes though. Maybe just a few seconds lost in terms of small hesitations, just being slightly off the line. Maybe a hesitation there for the orange Pamin Rasti. That's Aurela, team number 7. And Turin Metzenkeviet as well, making a mistake here. Actually, a few others having to go back. Followed the wrong group. Yeah, this is going to be quite interesting to see. So Navi, Tamperine Parinta, yeah, a few teams here making a mistake at control number 10.
Aino Lamminmäki, Töysän säästöpankkisäätiön hallituksen puheenjohtaja. Onko Suomessa vastaavia säätiöitä muita?
On, totta kai. Näillä vahvoilla oma säästöpankin toimialueilla on, että meitä on pikkusen yli 10, onko meillä 11 säätiötä tällä hetkellä, 2 osuuskuntaa Suomessa.
No, missä päin Töysän säästöpankkisäätiö sitten toimii?
No, me toimitaan tällä ydinalueella, missä on oma säästöpankin konttoreita, eli pohjana Töysän säästöpankki aikoinaan, eli Nurmo, Alavus, Alajärvi, Töysä, Tuuri.
Siinä on jo toimintaa.
Täytyy sanoa, että se ei nyt ole enää tänä päivänä niin veteen piirretty viiva, koska meillä on sitten laajaa toimialuetta ja aktiivisia asiakkaita ja järjestöjä ohi näiden rajojen.
Okei. No, mistä sitten varallisuus Töysän säästöpankkisäätiölle tulee?
No siinä meillä on se vahva kytkentä tänne oman säästöpankkiin, eli oma säästöpankki on osakeyhtiöpohjainen ja me saadaan tavallaan sitten sitä kautta varat, kun pankilla menee hyvin, niin me saamme osinkoja sieltä. Ja meillä on vaatimus tavallaan säätiöissä, että puolet siitä sen vuoden positiivisesta tuotosta, niin meidän pitää jakaa omalle toimialueelle.
Vau, no kuka sitten voi hakea tätä avustusta?
No sanotaan sillä lailla, että helpompi olisi sanoa, että sulkea pois, kuka ei voi hakea, mutta sanotaan, että järjestöt, yhdistykset, joilla on Y-tunnus ja toimintaa, että pois me suljetaan hakemuksista tämä julkinen sektori, eli kunnat, seurakunta ja poliittiset järjestöt, uskonnolliset yhdistykset, niin se on poissuljettu ja yksittäiset henkilöt. Että se on sitten niin kuin sponsorointia ja se on taas pankkien kanssa esimerkiksi keskusteltavaa.
Hienoa, kiitoksia.
Okay, back to the race. You can see an impact then of some of the mistakes, I think, into that control number 10.
Fredrik Porti, det är ganska bra för Otto där i TV-kontroll nummer 2, 4,7 kilometer, 32 sekunder efter täten. Så vilka tankar har du nu?
Nej, det är bra. Hoppas han stannar där någonstans och håller sig lugn och plockar sina egna kontroller. Och i så fall är det där ett jättebra utgångsläge.
Okej, och sen på sista sträckan har de en ung löpare, Viktor West. Hur ska du hälsa honom i skogen då?
Nej, jag hoppas att få skicka ut honom i bra läge. Jag tycker det är jättebra möjligheter för de här ungdomarna att lära sig hur de här bästa i landet löper orientering när man så där konkret i praktiken får se hur de gör. Så det är ju framförallt ett bra läge att lära sig för Viktor där, men att det kan hända att några lag springer förbi ifall vi är riktigt i bra klungor där, men han är med för att se och lära, det gör gott åt honom.
Det önskar vi allt bästa för er då.
Tack.
So Fredrik Portin is going to be the second leg runner for IF Brahe. They are team number 8. I'm not sure if we can see them on the tracking now, but looking forward to his run. And again, yeah, really looking like things have begun to split up, I think, as a result of that 10th control. We've got kind of 2 main groups here, and we're really coming, to be honest, towards the very, very end of this leg. Not too many difficulties right now, though it's like a lot of them are staying on this vegetation boundary. I wonder if there's a good kind of extraction lane. You can see on the veg boundary.
Juho Westerlund KV:llä menee varsin mallikkaasti siellä ensimmäisellä osuudella. Daniel Pombura matkalla. Mitä ajatuksia itsellä juuri ennen lähtöä?
Innolla odotan, että pääsee kisailemaan ja Daniel on fyysisesti kova. Suunnistus on ollut vähän ailahtelevampaa, mutta on kehittynyt tosi paljon nyt, kun on asunut täällä Suomessa, niin kiva nähdä, että kaverilla menee hyvin. Teillä on kova loppu sitten, eilinen kakkosijan saavuttanut Timo Sild siellä, niin mitä tavoitteita teillä tälle päivälle on? Tehdään oma suoritus ja katsotaan, missä se riittää. Ei, omaa suunnistusta ja näin. Tsemppiä matkaan. Kiitos.
So that was Jo Vesterlund, who is running second leg for Cuvée, Daniel Pampura in first leg for them, and of course they've got Timo Sild on the last leg as well. But as you can see, Cuvée have dropped back a little bit in that pack. That 10th control really proving tricky, and now Ikilisten Niseva Voima have got to be really careful about the compass and the direction towards this 12th control. Jo Ilinen, as the others are maybe a little bit too far north. Looks like he's picking it back up now, to be honest. And yeah, this team really seemed to kind of play quite attacking and really trying to do their own thing so far. So all good at the moment, and looks like they're going to reach this 12th control without too many issues. Could maybe have been a little bit smoother direction-wise into that control, but not too bad by any means. We can also look back. So Helsingin Senestiat was right up there in the lead. We have actually lost the GPS tracking on there, so I'm not quite sure where exactly they are, but were in amongst those leading teams, as were the couple of Kalev and Rasti teams. So the wind blows and we wait for the first runners to come out of the forest. Here we go. This is Turin Sinistiyat with Daniel Formin in towards the lead. We've also got MS Palmer. We've got Ikilisten Niseva Voima. We've got Helsingin Sinistiyat, but it's not their first team at all. We've got a Tampereen Perinta team, but I think that's on a different relay. So everyone running here on these final stages ready to do the changeover. And we can see it is the Turin Sinistiyat team with Daniel Formin in towards the finish first. Let's have a little look at the teams as they will punch a finish and then go and get their map to hand it over to the second team runner. So after 39 minutes of running, it is the Turin Sinistiyat team in the lead. MS Palmer into second. Then, of course, we've got Ikilisten Niseva Voima into third. Helsingin Sinistiyat, it's their third team into fourth. And really all change as a result of that 10th control. Here's Lauri Neninen for Kalev and Rasti. Bit of a gap there. Espin Sinter is the next one. And then the second Helsingin Sinistiyat team, Turin Metzenkeviat with Yannick Mikkels then. And two OK 77 teams as well. And now it's really going thick and fast here. And again, just all the teams vying for some sort of position. Let's keep an eye out. There we go. There's the team number one, the team that's won both the relays in the Finnish League so far. It's Tampereen Perinta being over a minute down, I think, there. There's Cuvée as well coming across the line very, very shortly. You can see. There we go. And the helpers here just making sure they catch all of the maps as the runners pass through. There's another Podium Rusty team as well. A couple of runners from Lynx coming around the corner. And still a whole load of teams up there. There's only really, at least in terms of the leading teams, one point where we saw any sort of mistakes being made, which was, of course, next 10th control. But I feel like it's not enough to completely disrupt this relay. And as a team spread out, I think we'll see slightly more errors. Another couple of MS Palmer teams. This is their fourth team. great start for them. And again, we've got this arena. It's basically a food manufacturing factory, and they've got to go quite a long run out into the terrain. And now looking further back, creating a lot more gaps now. Some of these runners maybe won't have anybody just ahead of them. And with this such a long run out, do you make an effort, as you can see here, to try and catch up with, or this is actually the run-in, do you try and make a really big effort to catch up with those just ahead of you? Do you put a lot of energy in at the very start of this course? So there we go, recap of how it was after the first leg of the three. And Turin Sinestiat out in the lead. Tuko Sepä on the second leg for them. It's got just that 3-second lead ahead of Topi Pentinen for MS Parma. Ikilisten Nisevavoima in third place. Helsingin Sinestiat 3 in fourth place. But really, after just one leg of this relay, it's very, very close at this point. We're going to have those split times at about 2.4, 4.7 and 6.9 kilometres for changing over after 7.4 kilometres. It's going to be a similar challenge that these runners have to face. You have that difference of everyone being a little bit more spread out after this second leg. You can see some of the damage there done by getting the wrong forking. See Daniel Pampora for Cuvée into 36th. Navi as well, I know, were one of the casualties from the wrong forking at control 10. And you can see there from our drone shot, that is the little archway for the finish line. And the start going around just all of those solar panels.
Eero Sorsa, Sotkamo Jymy. Pääsit nuorena suunnistajana tuonne aloitusosuudelle. Millaista se meno siellä oli?
No, kyllä siellä kovaa vauhtia saa pitää, että juoksuvauhti on kovempaa, mutta aika samantasoisia ratoja mitä omassakin sarjassa.
Oliko siellä suunnistus taidollisesti sitten sellaista, missä pystyi hyvin itse pysymään mukana? Jaloilla vaan oli työskentelyä?
Joo, no aika selkeitä suunnistusta oli, että ihan hyvin meni.
Florian Fritzen, du sprang för första sträckan i Lyngslaget, så hur var det idag?
Det var nog riktigt roligt, men farten var nog lite för hård för mig. Det kom en liten bom i början av banan och sen så orkade jag inte springa i kappen.
Hur var dina kärren?
Det var nog riktigt att man sjönk in där och så var det jättesvårt att komma förbi. Att alla sprang på en linje där, att ingen ville få bredvid.
Me uskotaan vahvasti, että teitä nähdään vielä tulevaisuudessa monia kertoja aloitusosuuksilla ja muillakin. Hienosti juostu tänään.
Okay, catching up with some of those young first leg runners for Lynx, Florian Fritzen. Still a few teams coming up the run-in. Coming out of the forest. Okay, let's have a look then. First look at the second leg. Turin Sunnistiat and MS Palmer really close together. You can just see the kind of will to avoid some of these worse areas of terrain. Calvin Rusty going way far south. Gosh, okay, this looks like that was a mistake there. And a few more mistakes in terms of the forkings as well. A lot of people with 1C just going too far to the left, having to maybe hit that path and then come back at it. Feels like, with all these runners going in just slightly different directions between these two forked controls, really puts you off if you're not exactly on your orienteering. I guess the key is to, be in with that pack heading across some of the marsh. But when you're getting just before the control, you really need to be very clear in what you're doing and where exactly you are, so you can just do those final stages of the leg as well as you can. And again, you can really see the will to avoid, for example, the area with all the streams, all the ditches. But maybe MS Palmer, who chose to go through that section, coming off the best of all of these runners, and maybe this could turn into a little gap. We will get the next splits over at control number 3, just to have an impact to see what has gone on with the runners there. Look, the green team, Turin Metz and Caveats. Let's see if they have, I think, fallen a little bit. Yeah, they were in about 6th place, but that's dropping down a lot there. And we'll see very shortly the teams in at control number 3. Here it is. Waiting for the first runners in now. I think this is MS Palmer with Topi Pentinen. Yep, absolutely. Gaining a place there and has a little gap. Here we go though. Here's the leader at the changeover, Turin Sinistiat, Tuko Seppa, and Frederick Portin for Praha, who had him being interviewed beforehand. Alexei Saucer has gone up loads of places. 19 places there. Goodness me, what an amazing start for the Tampere Perinta team, almost definitely the favourites. There is Ikalisten Nusavivoima dropping down maybe a couple of places. A couple of the Kalevan Rasi teams also going up. And Glenniemen there as well. Espen Sunter dropping down. And then a load more runners in now as well. Watch out, Volkuvia. Not sure we've had them through yet. Maybe this is... No, this is Lynx. Yep, so still not had the Kuvi team through. Juho Westerlund is their second leg runner. And there we go. We can see, some of the teams really dropping back. Turin Metz and Kvyat particularly really struggled on that one. Also, too, Leinonen for Helsing and Cincinnati too really struggled there. Just did not have the right direction into this control at all. But then looks like we're going to be back with the leaders here. Topi Penttinen. And on the way towards the fourth control. Again, this is one where we've got a little bit of forking. And a lot of the running here seems to be about picking the good and quick lines through the terrain. I mean, you can see on these hilltops just how good the runnability is. But, of course, when you kind of drop down, it gets a little bit slower. Not too bad, though. But this was a little gap then made by MS Palmer at the very start of this leg. Very good, clean orienteering. Okay, and here they split up. This is Tuko Seppa. And this, there we go. They absolutely should have split up. Going towards control number 4, where you have a forking. I think that's maybe one of the Kalevan Rasi teams there in the distance. But now breaking off towards this 5th control. Again, decisions to be made on the first leg. We saw a lot of the teams go around some of this green section. Not sure it was super necessary, but using some of these little kind of ledges and crags to head then towards this nice open area here. From the air, the forest looks very, very uniform. It is, of course, anything but. Let's have a little look then. So MS Palmer had that first one. You could see the way he just kind of broke away towards the right. And again, heading for that felled area, the semi-open area in the middle. Just having a little look at the directions there. Seems to be pretty solid. Nobody having too many problems with getting to their control. And here's what the semi-open area looks like. You can see the different choices there. You can see the Calvin Rusty team. And we could see Tiku Seppa just going, you can see more in the white area. I think should the runner from MS Palmer, Topi Penttinen, attack this one and be very distinct in these small hills, could still be a good advantage heading into this next control. Control number 5. Here we go. That's the control. But maybe dropping down there slightly, I think, then, from the MS Palmer runner. Not as good, and you can see that Tampereen Perinta already ahead. A lot of out and back into this control. So I think it will be all change again by the time we meet the next split time. You can see those runners ahead. And where you've got these hilltops, these bare rock, obviously you've got these quite small trees and the visibility really opens up. You can see when they begin to spread a little bit, picking their own good ways through the terrain. But there is a forking here, so these two runners both look like they've got the same one. It's pretty distinct there, and it really has pushed them wide here. Here's Tampereen Perinta, Alexi Saucer. If it is the first team, which I believe it is. He's been in both their 2 winning teams. And yeah, you can see really has had such an attacking start, has really made up for mistakes in that first leg. And again, it just sees you push very wide here. You can see MS Palmer, Topi Penttinen just slightly dropping back from his rival there from Tampere. So yeah, a few more teams with problems here. It looks like Calvin Rusty with I again going to the wrong forking. Yes, a lot of those with control I really having problems there. Just far too far kind of to their right of the line, and now they've got this kind of shorter one, so it looks really like everybody with I had problems, at least of those we can see on the GPS tracking. They seem to go between G and H. And actually, even those with G for 7 maybe having some problems, going a little bit too far north. But yeah, not many issues towards those leaders, of course. And now everyone's going to head towards almost this little island in the middle of the marsh here, which gives you much better running. And Turin Sinisiat and Tuko Seppa looks very, very direct, heading for that pretty much the closest point of that island that you could possibly get to keep up with all of this running. This is what it looks like on here then. Got another few relays out there as well, so hence the extra controls into this semi-open area. And Portin looks fantastic here as well. Having a great run. Was in third at the last split. There we go then, those leaders at control 8, and it's at 9, I believe, that we get the next split time. The comparison between, it's being brought up then between the leaders and with Calvin Rusty, who we saw miss I think we saw Calvin Rusty miss earlier as well, even on leg 1. So a lot of damage done for them, for one of really the top clubs. Although doing slightly better in the women's relays overall. Here we go. I think this is control number 8. There's the Calvin Rassi runner, Marcus Resinen, was up in 6th at our last split, and obviously now dropping down. But we can already skip ahead to control number 9 because Tuko Seppa climbed back into the lead then for Turin Sinistiyat. We've got Frederick Portin there in 2nd place. We've got Alexi Saucer from Tamperine Parinto into 3rd. And a little bit of a gap now. We've got MS Palmer there, dropping a couple of places. Topi Pensanen. And again, a little bit of a gap there after those top 4. Next up, the Kaladen Veikot. Tamperine Parinto 2, Payman Rassi with Pasi Ikonen. Turin Metson Caveat 2, then a couple of Calvin Rassi teams, but it's not their first team. Vela Passanen for the team 3, Santeri Kirjavainen for team 2. Yeah, that looks like Turin Metson Caveat 1. Jussi Suna for them. And there's Marcus Rassinen. Note they're down 8 places there. And that was troubles at the 6th control. All of these forkings just kind of forcing those mistakes. One is from Espen Sunta there through as well. Another Turin Metson Caveat. They've got their top 3 teams already through, all of those. 2 Lynx runners. This is Helsingin Sinisiat's 4th team, Euro Turkey in there. And now it seems those teams are kind of grouping into those smaller groups now. Really keen, hoping we can see what's going to happen at Control 10, which is coming up very soon with those top teams. It's when you're just kind of dropping over the hill into a bit of a slope. There's a lot of detail there around control number 10 that's proved quite tricky. It certainly had an impact on the first leg. This is control 9, 4.7 kilometers of 7.4. Really not many controls to go. It's a QV team. And that is actually, that is their first team. Let's cover the Lakeuden, Niseva Voima, second and third teams there. So that group are climbing. And Olli Marcus Taivanen, that's a name many would be surprised to see so far down from Navi, but they really struggled after the first leg, so climbing up the ranks now. Okay, let's have a little look then at the K and J controls. Suggests it won't be forked on the last leg. And this is where some teams had some troubles. Yeah, few people just slightly off. And actually, look, looks like it's put Tamper in Perinta, who had J, executed that one really, really well. Maybe obviously it's slightly shorter. Puts them back into the lead. Try and get a third win in 3. Pamion and Rusty maybe having a few problems there at the 10th. It's maybe control you want to aim off slightly to one side or the other, and then know to kind of turn in a particular direction when you get to that slope and all of those very, very small re-entrants. But it's one where you can be really, really close to the control and just ever so slightly miss it. But this last section of the race shouldn't prove too many challenges. Here's the leaders then, I think. Yep, this is Tamper in Perinta, and it is Alexi Saucer who's made a really big impact on that one. I think that was Frederick Portin who we missed there, and then this is Tuko Zappa as well, we've just seen through. This is a common control. There's MS Palmer. I think another Tampering Printer team, a couple of tournaments and caveat teams. Lakeuden Niseva Voima is in there as well. And Calvin Rusty too, but that won't be the top team. They won't be their first team. There's another of the Calvin Rusty teams. I think that's their second and third teams having gone through. Let's have a little look then here. Ooh, there was a miss there. I was going to say, it looked like he had way more of a gap on the GPS tracking. So Alexis also could be even more in the lead compared to if he hadn't made that mistake. It's only a really, really small one, and the visibility was good. You could see those other runners as well, I am sure. And now he's got to work quite hard to rebuild that lead again. He's looking really, really strong through this terrain. And cutting now then through in this open area. And yes, I did wonder if there was, so further along this kind of felled area, it turns into a indistinct track, but you can see this is just like an extraction lane from when a vehicle's come in to do all the felling. So there's some good runnability actually running on the boundary of a forest and of this semi-open area here. It's pretty good. It's not too bad underfoot. We can see actually quite a lot of people taking this line on the first leg. You've got to then, as this is a Fredrik Portin, I think, you've got to then figure out where you're going to go back into the forest. See if we can see. Yep, they're all going in here. Whilst you're still kind of on the flat top, and it's quite a tricky. You could have had a good attack point there to go and head in towards the terrain. But as you can see, Tampereen Printer tried to make a small gap again, but it's going to be really hard to keep that up. Palmi and Rusty taking that very different route. I'm not sure it's going to pay off. You can just see the speed of the others with going along that vegetation boundary, going along the track as well, or the ride. The runnability is really, really good. And with a terrain that's just so quick as this, with really not many people making mistakes, it's all about these kind of micro route choices. It's finding these lines in the terrain where runnability is good, where you can save some energy. I think we're back further down the pack here. It's one of the Iklist and Niseva teams there. Another of the Tampereen Printer teams. A couple of Terramets and Caveat teams, I think, there as well, in the dark tops. You can see just dropping down the hill here towards this 12th control. There's a little bit of green just ahead of it. And yeah, you can just see everybody, the very, very classic orienteering, dipping of the head to punch the control. But here we go then at the finish. And this is Tampereen Printer into the lead, but it's not really by very much. We've also got Terramets and Caveat, and Jussi Sunna is right hot on his heels, or hot on the heels of Alexis also. He's trying to really, really fight hard to stay ahead. We've also got Tuukka Sepä of Sinisiat as well. We've got Fredrik Portin of IF Braha. So these four runners with a little bit of a gap now, and Alexis also looks like he's just managed to stay ahead of the Terramets and Caveat team, who have really done well to pull up on this second leg. Great leg from Jussi Sunna there. So it is the team from Tampere who change over first. So Alexi Saucer, it's Jussi Sunna into second place. Both teams climbing up places here. Turin Sinisiat will have dropped, but it's only because they were leading after the first leg. And Fredrik Portin, very experienced orienteer, climbing as well then for Braha. And now we have a little bit of a gap. There we go. The next runners through. Lakeuden, Vaikot, Calvin Rassi 3. Tormets and Kvyat 2. MS Palmer's in there. Then we've got the little bit further down. Oh, Calvin Rassi 1 has climbed up a lot, actually, just on this last section. So that's pretty good because they were a lot further down than that. So managing to catch back up to actually overtake their second team. Helsing and Seinäjoki also climbing 22 places on this one as well. There's a Paimin Rasti team coming in towards the finish there, as well as a team from Lynx. And you can see he was the one who just went the different route to everybody on that longer leg back towards the arena. You have another of the Helsing and Seinäjoki teams as well. Make a few more mistakes, gaps appearing, of course, as we would expect on this second leg. Only one to go. And we are going to have an overlap for the women's relay, which starts in about 10 minutes' time. And of course, your run is not over until you've actually handed that map over to your teammate. A few of those teams coming in now, dropping a few places here in the rain. And we're not going to be missing too much from those first runners on the third leg at the moment. It's a very, very long run out towards the start control. There's QV, Timo Sild ready to finish off the job for them. Again, climbing places but dropping time compared to the leader. a recap then of the who's going up, who's going down in after this second leg. And the big climbers, those top two, Tampere and Perinta, favourites for today's race, and Tuon Metson Kvyat, with Jussi Suna making the biggest climbs after mistakes on that first leg really being kind of impactful for their teams. Helsing and Sinisiat also within a minute. That kind of time can be called up with a strong last leg. But more runners heading out there into the terrain. We've also got the women's race getting ready now. With it's slightly less dominance from Tampere and Perinta on the women's relay for the Finnish Relay League so far. Tampere and Perinta and Katherine Rasti are tied on points. They have both won one, and this is how they line up. Again, this women's relay, I think, should be pretty tight, maybe tighter than it has been, with the absence of many of the international runners. Looks like international runners, kind of World Cup, World Championships runners from most of the orienteering world have headed to find some sort of mountains straight after Tiomila to continue their training for the World Championships in Switzerland. So it's a lot of the club runners that make the lineup today. And this is why this Finnish Relay League is such a test for the club's overall strengths, not just across one race, but across a whole season. And also just tests their depth as well. So they are ready to line up starting in the next 4 minutes or so. Got to get into line and ready to go. And Laden Sinisiat is one of the teams we expect to do well. But it's the Tampere and Perinta team, Ida Jussila, to lead them out. Again, very different to the team that won in round 2 of Viestiliiga. Calvin Rasti, they were third at Finspring and then second at the race earlier on in May. Again, a different team. August IF, Amy Niemann on the anchor leg. Watch out for her. Again, part of the team that came third in the last round. MS Palmer, they've got a second place from Finspring, but no Maja Sienoja on the last leg that we often see for them. Palmian Rasti, Ina Westerlund to lead them out. Inga Damba in second leg for them. Here's Arden Sinistayat, Karolina Uskoski, and watch out for Anna Neri on the second leg. There's a team from Lynx. Sani Norbacka to start for them. Sunta Jyväskylä. They were the second best team from Finland in the women's relay at Tiomila into 7th place. They've got Helmi Karkiainen to lead them out. Rasti Kahut they are team number 9. Suvi Haitala to lead them out. And Jemsen, Retki Vaikot in team number 10. Watch out, Merja Rantanen, an old name from the Finnish national team, on the second leg for them. You can run through these teams 20 and above. Well, the ones we could see doing well, that's Helsingin team number 1, Teresa Smelikova on the first leg for them. And second team from Tampere Printo 2, Sofia Pelompera on the first leg. So I think about 72 teams lined up for the women's relay. They've got about 6K for them. And this should be off in about 30 seconds or so. As you can see, they've all been given the maps. You can see watches being set. And 72 women all ready to head straight out into the terrain. They take their marks. And a wall of runners set off into the terrain, see what is ready for them. Not too many problems there, and as you said before, it is a long run out towards the start triangle. We head out from this kind of factory area. Around the big fence and then head out into the terrain. The first control similar to the men's. Of course, the whole thing is a little bit shorter, but a similar test in terms of the navigating the different types of vegetation, the small contour shapes as well. But get back to this men's race. And similarly to the first leg, you've seen lots of people going the different way. And if you look at, well, Tampere Printer had C, so I think that's probably a good choice for C. But Metz and Caveat with B, that seems to be have been a good option there. And the last leg runner from Lakeuden Nisova Voima seems to have had a great start as well. We've not got Tampere Printer there on the tracking, but I can tell you they came through in third place at that third control. Here's Iitu Savolainen. Iitu Savolainen has been on the last leg for Lakeuden Nisova Voima in all 3 Finnish Relay League competitions, and looks like with good reason, because they've earned themselves 2 second places behind Tampere Printer both times, but they are now ahead of that team. So we've got this is Turin Metz and Caveat, Samu Heiska in the lead. There's second place, Lakeuden Nisova Voima, Iitu Savolainen. Then we have Tampere Printer, who had the different forking there, took completely the different route. Mikko Irila for them on the final leg. So no Tampere Printer on the tracking there as they go towards the fourth control. You can see the different routes. Here is Turin Sinisiat. I think this is still the third control, just catching up with this race. Then we have Helsing and Sinisiat. This is Einari Heinero. MS Palmer in there really, really shortly after. Niklas Ekström. Then the second Tampere Printer team with Ansi Huostila and a big group there. Kalevan Rasti 3, Kalevan Rasti 1. And maybe even the second team there in there as well. Turin Metz and Caveats 2, just bringing up the rear. Maxime Letorrier on the last leg for Turin Cullen Rusty 1. So we haven't quite got all the teams on the tracking there. But here's Ikilisten, Nisevavoima, Iiti Savalainen. Again, so we should get the next... We should maybe see them at this control 5, which is where we have a common control. You can see... Just cutting across now this open area. Semi-open area towards the 5th control. Then back in again towards this open rock where that visibility just gets ahead. Looks like, yeah, again, this control with the green and the marsh just kind of splits people up after the forking. Take those different routes towards control number 5. There we go. Dropping straight into that control. Really impressive stuff there for Iiti Savalainen. Oh, and that's a strange direction to approach that control from. Wonder if we can catch it on the tracking. I'm not sure whether we can or not. But Savalainen spot on into that control. You could just see, you knew exactly kind of where on the hilltops he was, just dropped straight into the control and then kind of heading back in that direction. Mikko Erila here for Tampere Perinto. Just see, I think that is Iiti Savalainen ahead. Just slightly, and these two clubs have had a big old battle already in the Finnish Relay League, finishing I think within seconds of each other in the last one. But I think Tampere Perinto, a lot of the top teams are missing a lot of their kind of national team runners. There we go. No problems with that eye control for Iiti Savalainen. And the others just have to be really, really careful that they don't follow that same way. This forking is quite a wide one. We saw some issues with that on the second leg. Yes, and I think Mikko Erila was again just slightly off there, having to quickly figure out which side of the control he was. And then on to the next one of the forking. Can use these small hills. The way there's just a little bit of a ledge you can see come up from the marsh. It's got a little bit further to go. Got to cross the marsh now. Still does look like about second place, I would say. We won't get the next, unfortunately we don't have that Tampere Perinto team on the tracking there. We do have Savalainen. I think that's him still in the lead for Ikilisten Nisevavoima. We've also got the Heiska for Turin Metsenkävijät. And then there'll be a lot of people on this kind of ridge of hills to head towards control number 8. You can see they're all Savolainen heading for those couple of knolls there. And now you can see Tampere Parinto in that picture for Irila. And yeah, we could see just past that boulder on the picture. Oh, but there's a mistake for Törnmets and Kvyat as well. Now heading over towards the G control. And Savolainen, to be honest, just looks to be a class apart from the rest here. Spot on to those splits, to those forkings. And Samu Heiska for Törnmets and Kvyat. Again, not very direct, that one. I mean, it was probably just about the longest forking, potentially. But having troubles there. And now, so the gap suddenly has gone up to well more than 30 seconds here for Savolainen. I think it's looking really, really good with, to be honest, most of the orienteering done and dusted, or at least halfway through this leg. There's lots of really quite kind of longish legs on this course, not too many controls. But MS Palmer there, you know, they were right up near the front on after that first leg. Now bringing up the rear. And of course, we don't have Tampere Printer 1 on this GPS tracking. Here there is, though. I'm trying to figure out if that's other runners we can see ahead. I don't think it is. So this looks like it is second place here for Irila. There's a control. Just making sure the punch, making sure the unit is in properly. Hard to tell if that's who that is ahead. Anyway, that was the 8th control though. And then Savolainen just wants to make sure that the direction is okay out of that 8th control. Should be okay by the time you get to the stream to figure that one out. So I think Heiska and for Törnmets and Kvyat and Tampere Printer 1 are basically neck and neck around there. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Hostila for Tampere Printer's second team. But this is this next control. This is the 9th control. That's where we're going to get our next time split from. And looking out, here he is. Here's Savolainen continuing this fantastic run. And let's have a look, because it looked like from the GPS tracking it could be as much as 30 seconds, which on this kind of a course is very, very impressive. Just managing to get all of the forkings just right. And the seconds tick up. Here's the next runners. This looks like Törnmets and Kvyat. Yep, it's a dark picture there. So Samu Heiska has actually just gone ahead of Mikko Irila from Tampere Printer, having some troubles with punching there each time, to be honest. And then again, I think we have a gap here. Yes. So the gap was 25 seconds. So maybe those two teams doing a little bit better to catch up now on the leaders. And now we're back to a minute here. So we watch out for who comes out of the forest next. We've got Helsingin Sinisterjat on the way. We've got Turun Sinisterjat on the way. We've got, as you can see there, basically, we've got Tampere, their second team on the way. I know, coming close, but wow, the gap is now a minute. Here we go. Here's the next team, and it is white and red. So this is Tampere second team with Anssi Horstela there, just punching, and coming from the other direction. This looks like the blue and green of Helsingin Sinisterjat, Heinero, and then nobody else here. So two of them running together. Suddenly on this last leg, it gets blown wide open. And we've got those three teams vying for the 3 medal positions. These two teams looking for, I guess if you still call a podium, the top 6. But still nobody else here. I mean, you can see on the GPS tracking there was quite a decent gap, but we're now looking to be more than a minute since anyone came through this control. And now, almost a minute and a half after someone's been through to this control, we have the 6th place team. And it is Calvin Rasti 3, Kasperi Hemelainen, the next one through. And we also, I think, have their first team, Maxime Retourier. That's MS Palmer, Nicholas Ekström as the next one. So maybe 3 runners in, well, something of a group there. Here's the next one. This is the blue and white of Espen Sunter, Lari Pernu, into 9th place. Gaining a few places there. This looks like, yeah, Bekaladen Vaikot and Paimon Rasti as well. And now we have a few more runners in kind of together. And I think that was the Turin Sinisiat team dropping a load of places because they were in the top 3, I think. Okay, going back to the women's relay then. And this is what has been going on that first leg. A lot of runners choosing to go out to the path. I think if you've got A or B, that does seem to be a good option. It looks like a long way to go around Paimon Rasti, going off that track to head towards the C control. That looks like it was a long way around. You can see the efforts. Karkiainen is doing to go round the kind of stream section. But Karolina Ukskoski from Laden Sinisiat is in the lead. Tampere Perinto then into 2nd place. And now we have a few more runners in this mix. Lynx is there, Calvin Rasti is there, Tampere Perinto 2 is there. A lot of the top teams, SK Poyentetti, Sari Antonen, a strong runner for them on their first leg. Got a few mixing of the men's teams in there as well. This is Helsingin Sinisterjat, as you can see there. A little bit further off the pace. And bigger gaps here. Paimon Rasti, that's Ina Westerlund. You can see she was the one who had that one C control and went all the way towards the path.
Haittaako maalin linssissä olevat vesipisarat, jos haittaa, mistä haemme?
Okay, so we can then go back towards this men's relay and the closing stages. Savalainen again, not the best direction compared to the others, but sticking kind of on the top of this hill. It looks like good running, and the gap still around 30 seconds. You can see those real groups kind of forming. Again, a little bit better for Tampere Printer there into control number 10. It's a tricky control, but that one isn't forked, crucially. So E.T. Savalainen still looking very, very good as having gone through that 11th control. God, there's a little difference here on this 12th compared to the first two legs. This control's basically on the top of the hill, just off the top of the hill. And then a scramble all the way down towards control 13 and the finish line as well. So looks like very, very clear routes coming up. Calvin Rusty maybe just making a mistake there at the 10th control again in that kind of fourth group. But it looks like it's going to be incredibly good for Ikalisten Niseva-Voima to finally get a win this season in the Finnish Relay League after 2 second places. And I've got to say, E.T. Savalainen is fantastic on this third leg. Had a really great second leg as well. And then at this point, those couple of runners running together are going to be kind of just being very aware of what the other one is doing. Are they looking tired? When do you want to try and get ahead towards making it on that final stretch towards the finish line? Are you going to kind of wait, make it a sprint finish right at the end? We're going to try and push ahead on this earlier stage. Do you head towards this track like Savalainen is doing? Do you risk it and go a little bit straighter? Or do you go along this ride here like Irila is doing? Maybe wanting to try and do something different in the orienteering to try and get ahead here of Heiska. Both of them backing their navigation skills, but to be honest, here I would rate Turin Metz and Keviat's chances of a silver medal slightly higher. So E.T. Savalainen successfully got that 12th control, although his direction has not always been very good. So not quite heading on the straight line, maybe wanting to pick up that track. I think maybe the runnability in there is a bit difficult, but he's going downhill, so it shouldn't be too bad. Ooh, and now it gets really close, I think, here for second and third place. Again, back together really, really close. So it's going to be about who can spot this control first. And the gap, I think, between first and then second and third has grown again. I think Savalainen's speed through the terrain is just a class apart, really, of everybody here. But Tampere Printer looks like we've maybe got that first one. That's control first. But here we go. Here is the winners for today. Eetu Savalainen. He's looking behind him. There's nobody even remotely close here because this team has had a fantastic run and they are well clear of the rest of the pack. So there's been 2 second places for Ikalista and Nuseva Voima in this Finnish Relay League so far, but round 3 they're going to end it with the win here. The team is Juho Ilinen, Juna Huila and Eetu Savalainen. Eetu Savalainen has been on the last leg every single time for this club, and he has really proved to be the missing link, and he's running around with his arm in a cast. How have I not even spotted that before? Impressive stuff by this whole team, and they have such a big gap on the rest of the field. Savalainen's speed at the end was fantastic, and in the rain the spectators are there to cheer him on for this team to take their first win this year. It's going to set them up really well going into Jukala, and congratulations then to the whole team. There looks like there might be a sprint out on the way, though. I can hear something. There they are. It is the 2 runners here, and it looks like Turin Metzencaveat and Samuel Heiska has just nipped ahead of Tamprin Parinto and Mikko Irila. He's looking behind all the time, but has really pushed hard. It looks like he's got the stronger legs up that little slope. Tamprin Parinto fighting hard, but this is going to be 2nd and 3rd place. So Samuel Heiska just going to get it rounding that corner. And Tamprin Parinto just trying to form a really... Oh, that was pretty close. It was honestly catching at the end, Mikko Irila, but it will be 3rd place for the Tamprin Parinto. 48 seconds off the lead, so not matching their first 2 wins so far. So 2 wins and a 3rd place for them. Again, it's a very different team, missing some of their kind of top runners like Florian Hovald, like Elias Kuka, but still in with a very credible 3rd place. This is Tamprin Parinto's 2nd team. This is Antti Huostila. So TP still taking 2 of the top 4 places. Here they are, and it's going to be about a minute behind their first team. We've got some more other runners in on the run-in as well, coming through very shortly. I think we've got Helsing and Sinisayat coming in on their way. And if we remember, those are the 2 teams kind of running together, but Huostila must have just got a little bit of a gap on Anari Heinero, who again climbing places. But look, you can see climbing 10 places for Eetu Savalainen. Really incredible running there from him. And then we've got a little bit more of a gap though towards, I think, a next group who were all together. MS Palmer was in there, Espen Sunta, a couple of Calvin Rusty teams. Bekalad and Vicot was in there as well. And I think when we were looking back on the GPS tracking, all of these teams were there or thereabouts in a pretty big group. So we should see them coming through shortly. Here is Paimon Rasti, Tobias Henriksson on last leg for them, and got a bit of a gap, although here's some runners in behind. I wonder if this is the Espen Sunta kit. Looks like it is. Lauri Pernu in there, and we've got a load more runners as well. We've got a Calvin Rasti in there, Maxime Ritorio. We've got MS Palmer, Nicholas Ekström. We've got another Calvin Rasti team. We've got OK77. We've got Turin Sinisayat, who were up so near the front earlier on. Here they are. So this is Paimon Rasti to round off the top 6. All of these runners are really close in the group. Oh, he doesn't know where he's going. I mean, every team will have had the opportunity to scout out this finish line, I'm sure. There's Espen Sunta heading up into 7th place. Tobias Henriksson there climbing a good couple of places. Espen Sunta also climbing there. Laurie Perney on the last leg. Calvin Rusty is in here. Been a bit of a tricky one for them. With struggling with some kind of wrong forkings, especially on leg 2. A couple of small misses. But actually, Maxime Ritourier having a really good last leg to catch up a couple of places. There's MS Palmer, Niklas Ekström. Whoa, a couple more sprint outs here. I think this is OK77 and Turin Sinisiat as well. And there's another Calvin Rusty team. That's Calvin Rusty 3. And really, really close here.
Ikallisten nouseva voima, lämpimät onnittelut Viestiliigan Lakeuden viestin voitosta. Juho Ylinen, sä sanoit, että kovalla joukkueella tullaan näistä poisjääneistä huolimatta ja hyvä ennakkomaistiainen saatiin Jukolan viestiin. Miten sun oma osuus sujui?
Se sujui ihan hallitusti, että olisi ollut menohaluja mennä ehkä vähän kovempaakin, mutta semmoisia pikkukoukkoja tuli aika paljon ja lopulta oli kyllä hyvä suoritus, mutta tietysti aina toivoisi vähän parempaa. Mutta hyvä harjoitus kohti Jukolaa.
Sitten Joona Huila kakkososuudella, niin siellä mentiin edelleen kovaa vauhtia. Sait pidettyä hyvät asemat ja lähetettyä ankkurin sitten mainiosti matkaan, niin oliko itsellä mitään haasteita matkan varrella?
No heti ensimmäiselle rastille tuli semmoinen pieni koukku, mutta sitten tuli iso letka takaa ja siinä pääsi mukavasti sitten maaliin asti sen kanssa ja päästiin vähän suollekin palauttelemaan siinä välillä, niin ei ollut vaikeuksia ja tiesi kyllä, että eilen ärsytetty Eetu tulee varmasti aika kovaa sieltä, että voi luottaa ihan täysin.
No, mites Eetu tämä eilinen ärsytys sitten, sait sen selkeästi laitettua nyt energiaksi ja voimavaraksi tuonne kilpailuun. Tuossa selostuskaksikko pohti pitkään käden tarinaa. Voitko hieman avata, mitä kädelle on tapahtunut?
Joo, pari viikkoa sitten AM-kisoissa kaaduin aika montakin kertaa, mutta jollain niistä ilmeisesti löystää sen verran, että vähän murtu ranteesta yksi luu niistä. Ja nyt on tässä pari viikkoa sitten kipsin kanssa saanut vedellä, että aika tuollain tiumi. Ja eilinenkin oli aika haastavia maastoja, kun lääkäri sanoi, että ei saa kaatua. Niin mutta tänään oli sitten vähän ehkä helpompaa juosta, niin oli ihan kivaa kyllä.
No, aika vaativaa tietysti suunnistuksessa, kun pitää koko ajan kaatumista varoa, mutta oma osuus meni tänään aivan huikean hienosti ja pienestä taka-ajosta nousit keulille. Missä kohti näit muita ja ratkaisut tapahtuivat?
No aika alussa Samua näin siinä oikeastaan ykköselle mennessä ja sitten 3 tienoilla varmaan. En oikeastaan tiedä näinkö juuri muita. No 3 mennessä vähän aikaa.
Eli omalla työllä tultiin vahvasti. Tämä oli upea esitys ja meillä tänään palkitaan myös energisin mies suunnistaja ja tällä kertaa se on Eetu Savolainen. Onnittelut tästä. Ja suuret onnittelut koko joukkueelle.
Kiitos.
All right, we just managed to get those subtitles working to give you a little impact of that winning team. And Eetu Savolainen saying he fell a couple of weeks ago, broke his wrist, hand in plaster. Doctor said, well, don't fall over, which is much easier said than done when it comes to orienteering. It looks like he did pretty well to kind of keep that, took the risk to keep running. So really, really, strong running there. Let's head back then towards the women's relay, and of course slightly shorter courses for them. This is what their forkings look like, certainly in this kind of section of marsh running. Looks like kind of a lot of teams messing up that D control, including Calvin Rusty. That's a really tricky one for them. And a few teams are having some problems there. But let's have a look when they came through this control, see how things have been going on with this first team. So after 3.8 kilometres, it was SK Pointetti with, Antonen in the lead. That was control number 7. We just saw them there. Helsingin Sinisiat with Minja Nietala were in second. Laden Sinisiat were in to third place. Again, a few more mistakes there for Turin Sinisiat, Eleonora Rakola. And this is them heading then towards the arena again, just on this kind of last section. Looking, they have got a control a little bit closer to this kind of open area here. For control number 10, it's on a little boulder part of the way down this slope. You can look quite closely maybe to see some of the trees on the other side of this feld area to figure out where you're going to go in towards the terrain. Can just see how she's looking in towards the forest, figuring out where exactly to go in. See if we can see the chasers. Oh, quite a long way off. This is a great start here. That looks like Lakeuden Synestia into the second place there. Karolina Ukskoski. This is Helsingin Synestia here. Minja Nietela. I think it must have been Antonin there in the lead. That big gap. These were the top teams here. Expect it to be quite open here for the women's race. A lot of teams with a chance of putting together a good performance. That's the control. And it's only a couple of steps now before they head back towards the arena for the changeover for the first leg. That's Karolina Ukskoski there, who we are following behind. And here we are at the finish then, waiting for the changeover on the first leg. Here is Sari Antonin. And that is quite a significant gap to have after the first leg. We've also got Karolina Ukskoski there in the picture, as well as Minja Nietela for Helsingin Synestia at number 2. A few more teams on the way very shortly. We've got the Paimen Rasti team, a couple of Tampering Perintä teams, Lynx. But really strong running from SK Pointeti here. This is a fantastic first leg from very experienced Sari Antonin. No problems there at all, where we've just from the little glimpses of the GPS tracking we've seen, there have been quite a few mistakes. A few people just slightly off on the control, maybe going to slightly the wrong forking. Few difficulties there, but Sari Antonin hands over. Handing over to Sanna Maria Racco. They've got Kirsi Nomi on the last leg as well, though, so really watch out for this team. They could do incredibly well. Lakeuden Synestia, Karolina Ukskoski handing over to Anna Neri with Minna Kauppi on the last leg. I mean, they are such a strong team. And here's this kind of next group all lining up here. Got Ina Westerlund from Paimen Rasti. You can see there in the kind of black with green and red. We've got another Helsingin Synestia team. That's Amelia Thala. That's their third team, I think, in there. Got Tampering Perintä teams too. Ida Jussila, and we've got Sofia Palompera as well. But here's Paimen Rasti. This is fourth place. Fourth place currently in a whole minute off that kind of the second two runners. This is fifth then. This is Tampering Perintä number 1. Team number 1. They are tied with Calvin Rasti on points for Viestiliiga. There's a second team, Sofia Pedompera, just about to come through now, hand over. Taking the map across. Helsingin Sinisiat, Emilia Talo coming in now. You can see the outgoing runner just waiting. We've also got a team from Lynx on the way too. How many volunteers does it need to point out maps? There's the runner from Lynx waiting for Sani Nobaka to come in now. A few more of the men's relays to finish. Rasti Kahut, Eli Peltomäki on her way in. And I think we should have the leading team from Helsingin Sinisiat on the way as well. Teresa Smelikova. Yep, there we have those teams. Tampering Perinto number 3. And the team from Palgas quite far down, 13th place. And now we have a lot more of the teams coming in together. So a reminder, we've got the SK Pointeti team out well in the front. And then two teams quite close together in Lahden Sinisiat and Helsingin Sinisiat very close together in 2nd and 3rd place. And then a bigger gap kind of all together from, I guess, 4th down to, well, the group is still kind of coming in dribs and drabs. You're not missing too much of the second leg like the men's relay. It is really quite a long way out towards this start triangle and towards the first control.
Sari Anttonen, SK Pohjantähti, avausosuuden paalupaikka. Millaista menoa oli tänään tuolla seinäjokisessa metsässä?
No se oli kyllä ihan peruspohjalaista maastoa, että aika paljon sai palveen nostaa, että eteenpäin pääsi. Suopursua kyllä löytyi. Ja raskasta oli kyllä myös, mutta kiva. No miten sitten Karolina Ukskoskilahden suunnistajillakin lähti peli kivasti tässä käyntiin. Millaista sulla siellä kommentit oman suorituksen jälkeen maastosta?
Joo, no hyvin meni itsellä tänään kyllä, että niin kuin Sari sanoi, että aika raskasta ja varmasti eilinen 2 SM-kisastarttiin painaa kaikilla, mutta semmoinen odotettu, että oli aika tuttu, että koto saa mennä tuolla Suopursun seassa.
No miten tästä eteenpäin viesti teillä, millaiset odotukset nyt sitten eteenpäin?
No meillä on kyllä hyvä joukkue, että siellä Saana nyt tekee tarkkaa työtä ja suunnistaa hyvin, niin Kirsi pääsee hyvällä mallilla ankkuriosuudelle ja jännityksellä otetaan.
Ja mites Lahden suunnistajien?
No ainakin ankkuri on 100% luotto, että Minna on tuoreella jalalla, kun ei ole eilen juossut. Ja kyllä mä luotan Annaankin. Anna on kokenut kehäkettu ja meidän semmoinen oikein kunnon viestinainen isolla veellä. Että kyllä hyvä varmasti tulee.
Jäädään jännittämään ja onnea hienoista juoksuista. Kiitos.
So a recap then of the changeover. You just heard from the 2 leaders there saying that yesterday's Finnish national championships in the middle distance, they really could feel in their legs. They actually had 2 races yesterday. They had a qualifier and a final in the same day over towards Vasa, and they could tell that they felt like they were feeling quite slow, but Sari Antonen did not look slow at all. She looked absolutely fantastic through the terrain there. There we go. There's the top two teams back together again. SK Orienteering and Lakeuden Seinäjoki really close together. They both kind of backed their teammates to perform well on the kind of second and third legs, and they said that Minna Kauppi did not run yesterday, so caused some kind of fresh legs in there, which is going to be really, really good for the team in red, white and blue, Seinäjoki. So this is Anna Neri, you can see in the background of the picture there, and Sari Antonen handing over to Sanna Maria Recco. They've got Kirsi Nomi on the last leg though. Strong team there for really both of these top two as they make their way. I think we are still looking towards kind of this first series of controls. And the key is when you kind of get through to the vicinity of the control, you've got to make sure you're doing your own orienteering. But really, I think this looks like this looks like Anna Neri's just kind of pushing ahead. It's actually caught up, I guess. What was it about? Was 24 seconds. So Anna Neri's also already caught up 24 seconds on the leaders, which is SK Orienteering, and managed to overtake now as well. Looks to be kind of more distinct slightly in orienteering towards the start of this first leg. Looks like maybe these two have a little bit of a gap. Then on Helsingin Seinäjoki, which has the Canadian runner Emily Kemp on the second leg for their second team. They were in third at the changeover. A few international runners on the second leg. Paimin Rasti, who are in fourth. They've got Inga Damber, the Latvian runner, on their second leg. But Anna Neri looking very good. There's the control. And of course, most orienteers would expect the first control to be forked. Second one is as well. Just finding, you can see kind of good roots on the ground for over these rocks. See, stopping completely. It's really, there's a control though. really taking the time, I think, now to consider the route to the third control, going around some of the green areas potentially. But not clean then for the leader, but still first and second place, you can see still there. There's another control. I think that might be the B option. And these two leaders, after that forking, still about the same gap between them. Let's have a recap then. This is the GPS tracking for the two we've just seen. Not got Helsing and Synestia 2 in that picture for Emily Kemp, but we've got everybody else. Gosh, and this is a long way to the right here. They both went, kind of stayed on the tops here. I wonder if, not sure that was at all good, but other people making mistakes. Goodness me, Inga Damba, Pam and Rassi really not going, really kind of struggling there. I guess she's got the B control as well, so picking up that path. There was maybe the mistake for Anna Neri in towards, I think, the C there, and you can see actually they've really split up. But this is very interesting, taking this large track towards control number 3. You're going to get quite a long way off the straight line, but I would guess that she's going to come off that path probably on this bend. It's quite a long way off the line, really, compared to some of the others we've seen. Most we've kind of seen try to avoid at least these lighter green areas and then go fairly straight. Again, you can see some of the teams behind as well, taking the forest road and then taking the smaller track out towards this hill. It's only 2.5 meter contours, so everything's very kind of subtle in the terrain there. But we're back with SK Poyentetti and Sanna Maria Rocco here, who's gone a slightly more direct route towards this third control, which is, I think, where we're going to get the first indication of kind of split times, who's gone up, who's gone down, but it wasn't plain sailing for these two. Not a very direct route to control number 1, but managed to avoid most of the green, stay quite high up. And the compass really is king in this terrain, where you've got lots of kind of marshes like this. They don't seem to be too deep. And this is where we can see what's been going on. Yeah, you can see that Anna Neri from Laden Synestia did go, yep, there you can see the route there, did go along the track and then come off at the bend, and now seems to be going through that semi-open area as well. Most runners taking a lot more direct route. I think certainly if you've got to A, you want to go north out of the control to avoid the kind of green area with all the ditches. Here is the next control though. This is control number 3. But we might be waiting here for a little bit. Just can watch out from the forest. We know that Sanna Maria Rocco for SK Poyentetti and Anna Neri from Laden Synestia were going in very different directions. We can see them approaching different directions. This looks like it's the kind of dark greenish colour though. From SK Poyentetti, here is Rocco here. So maintaining that lead. The lead was 24 seconds though. And certainly that more direct route seems to have paid off, because she was neck and neck with Anna Neri. And the seconds count up then. Only one through so far. Let's see if we can watch out for the next runners. It was Anna Neri into second place. Oh, here's some people out towards that other direction, which is probably what we'd expect from Anna Neri. Will it be the red, white and blue? There it is for Laden Siat, and she's neck and neck. This looks like Pemion Rasti and Inga Damba. So those two there, and really, yeah, not a good route choice there for Anna Neri. So she's dropping, well, still in second place, but kind of dropping back compared to, and the time now a minute down on the leaders, Orienteering. Here we've got Tamprin Purinto. This is Lotta Irula, and actually their second team as well is in there too, Essi Vasainen. So top 5 in there as well. Where is Helsing and Sinistigat? Because they were into about 3rd place. This is Emily Kemp here, the Canadian runner. Dropping down a couple of places then, but still into 6th place. Espen Sunter, this is their second team actually, Eli Punto. Rasti Kahut with Tina Niemi. Espen Sunter with Silva Kempi. This is MS Palmer. MS Palmer were actually second at the first race of this Finnish Relay League, Viestiliiga, back in April at Finspring. And now what's that, about 12 teams through. And looking at the time on that so far, it looks like it's the Espen Sunter runner, Silva Kempi, who's had the best time of it. We wait for some others. This is Helsing and Sinistiat. This is actually the first team. Milla Mattila. We've got, that's the Pargus IF team. A few more on the approach now. Pamion Rasi 2. There's the Sinta Jyväskylä team and Calvin Rasti 2. Not sure where Calvin Rasti's first team are, because we have not seen them through at all. Yeah, Calvin Rasti changed over a long way down after the first leg. I mean, it could have been in about 50th place, something like that. So definitely having trouble trying to catch up. In fact, they were in 46th and 7.5 minutes down. There was a mistake between kind of 3.8k and 5.6k where they lost 5 minutes on the leaders. So not a good day for the Calvin Rasti team. They are, of course, missing a lot of their kind of top runners, though, like the likes of Ida Happala. But here we can see Tamprin Purinto, you can see Anna Neri then in as well. Lotta Irula in the, I think is in the red kit, and there's their second team, Essi Vasainen, is in the kind of white kit. This is kind of, I guess, the kind of group all vying for second place, with Escape Orienteering still out there in the lead. And this looks like maybe some of this kind of challenging kind of marsh green area. You can see how the visibility goes right back down. This is Espen Sunter 2, Eli Punto, I think, who has had actually one of the best runs on this leg, really catching up. can see just how much lower the visibility gets when you're in the marshes as well. And yep, they are on their way towards these different forkings here in this bigger marsh. You can see you've got to fight your way through the green. This is MS Palmer, Elsa Ankelo. Yeah, and some struggles here. Let's see who else we can catch. So Espen Sunter is here as well. Lapuan Virkia, I think, team there. Just punching that control first. These shapes are so small, and when you've got these kind of younger deciduous trees in there as well, it makes it all just really hard to see. Grouping a little bit back together now, you can see just how some of these marshes are kind of proving a bit trickier. And then you emerge from a marsh again onto one of these little islands almost that comes up out of the terrain. And of course, it's only after all three runners have gone through this section that the forkings are all evened out. There are quite different forkings here. It could really, really shake up the order of things by the time you get to the next split control, which will be at number 7, as you can see. Let's have a little recap then. Watch out for Rocco in the lead. You can almost see these runners stretching apart and then coming back together. A few problems for those who've got D, or at least not quite spiking the control per se. Ananeri may be dropping back a little bit. But Esko Poyentetti still with enough of a lead, although we've got Paiman Rasti, we've got Tamperin Perinto 2 on the chase. There she is. MS Palmer also on the chase. Lapuan Virkia. This is Emmy Hertela, who we are behind now. You can see that's in this, I guess, kind of third group. We're just around control 6D. Not many there with F, and I wonder if that means we'll see that second group kind of just pulling ahead. You can see how much they really don't want to run in the marsh, heading straight towards kind of that hill, the green area. A reminder then, this is control number 7. We are on the lookout for the leaders. And we could see that maybe the lead of Skipointeti's Sanna Maria Rocco was maybe being diminished just slightly. Really hard to tell. Had a good lead previous split time. And yeah, here we go. This is a group all back together now. Sanna Maria Rocco is just ahead slightly, but we've got Inga Damba, the Latvian, putting up ground as well. And Espinsinta Silva Kempi, really good, running up 13 places there. There's Tampering Printer 2 in their white kit. I see Väisänen. Now a little bit of a gap. So what was that, about 4 teams now? In a rough group, a bit more of a gap here. We can have a look at what is happening. Wow, okay, so MS Palmer, Tampering Printer really do not want to be running in the marsh, and that's a bit too drastic for me. They're going to certainly lose time, maybe just quite off in direction there. Tina Niemi just through there. So Anna Neri, she was of course vying for that first place, dropping down a couple of places. Did, like Sanna Maria Rocco, have that F forking, which of course you want to get out of the way quite quickly. That was Emily Kemp for Helsingin Sinestiat 2 into 7th place. A few more runners though on their way, looking kind of what has happened to that kind of, I guess, third group with Tampering Printer, the first team, MS Palmer, Laupan Virkia. Oh, this looks like it's probably going to be them. Here's MS Palmer. Here's Laupan Virkia, Espinsinta 2, the first Tampering Printer team. And that is the group, I think, that headed all the way out to that track, just coming in from that other direction. This is Helsingin Sinestiat's first team, Milla Mattila. And this looks like Sinta Jyväskylä in here for, what's this, 13th place. And between TV1 and TV2, you can see that Silva Kempi was by far the best, 38 seconds quicker. She's just moving through the field. Tampering Printer 2's second team, Väisänen, was the second quickest, but you can see some of the others really kind of dropping time there on that section. I think those forkings maybe had some kind of play in it. The different amounts of time going through the marshes. Okay, and you can see, yes, there's a little bit of a gap there next to the next ones. And we can look back again heading towards control 8, where there's a little bit of forking as well. You can see a lot of the runners going through the green section. Battling through that rain towards the different ones. Espinsinta there, the green in towards the start there. Pamian Rasti as well, but of course missing those runners right at the front there. So SK Pointati just dropping back a bit there. Santa Maria Rocco, as we have the Espen Sinter Silver Kempi still on the up. Pamin Rasti Ingadamba there amongst it too. So
no niin, meillä on täällä sitten ankkuriosuus naisia. Täällä on Kirsi Nurmi, Asko Pohjantähti, Minna Kauppi, Lahden suunnistajat. Milläs fiiliksillä? Teillä on aika jännittävä tilanne edessä. Mitäs Kirsi?
No tosi hyvä fiiliksillä, että tää on nyt eka Viestiliiga tälle kaudelle mun osalta ja nämä viestithän on tämän lajin suola niin sanotusti, niin tosi innoissaan kyllä ja kiva nyt kun tytöt vetää vielä noin hyvin, niin siitä kelpaa lähteä jatkaa.
Joo, mähän on ihan varta vasten tullut vaan Viestiliigaa tänne varten, että nyt mulla on niinku fressit jalat tohon ankkuriosuudelle, toivotaan näin ainakin. Ja esim. Mitä me tiedät, että Annalla on vähän tänään voinut olla selkäongelmaa tuolla, mutta jos se hyvin tuossa sinnittelee mukana, niin vielä on kaikki mahikset sinne kärkikamppailuihin onneksi.
Näissä voi fresseistä jaloista olla hyötyä, tsemppiä tytöt sinne suoalueille.
Kiitos, kiitos.
So Minna Campi saying she's here just for the Relay League, didn't go to the Finnish Middle Distance Championships, but she's maybe alluding to Anna Neri and some back issues. It's hard to tell, but here are some of the other runners on the way through. Still got some, I think, last leg on the men's teams through there. There's Espen Sinter though, and there is Inga Damba, I think, too, going pretty well. Those are the kind of leading few teams. Let's see who else we can catch. It's really interesting to hear those thoughts of the runners literally just before they're about to head out, as they're waiting in the pen. They're able to get kind of obviously some sense of what is going on. But I'm sure it might be hard to convince some runners to do an interview just before they're about to go out on their race, especially when they want to get like super focused. That might have been Anna Neri in there. Okay, that was the... I can really see those top four in that group there, making the progress towards this track or towards the ride. But this is the previous control. Looks like Emily Kemp there, two Helsingin Synestia teams. There's the Tampere Printer first team. Oh no, there's Anna Neri. So it was the Rusty Kahut, Tina Niemi, who we saw previously. So Anna Neri just kind of dropping back, but fresh legs of Minna Kauppi on the anchor leg should be pretty good. That must be Espen Sinter 2 there. I think that's one of the Cullen Rusty teams as well. And how things then look on this last leg. A lot of this is just about keeping the legs high, keeping that energy up, keeping it going on this last leg. It's not too tricky a control. Got quite a good, kind of attack point just to follow the edge of the vegetation, and then a pretty good attack point to come off that. You've got the trees, you've got a couple of little re-entrants there, which you'll probably be able to see from the indistinct path. And certainly we know the running looked good along there. From seeing kind of the first leg runners and seeing some of the men's relay too. Just looking at Skipo and Tati, Santa Maria Rocco got to get over towards that side, I think, like the others have done, where the runability is pretty good. I mean, there's not too many mistakes really being made here. It's a lot about finding good kind of lines through the terrain, finding where it's quick, keeping the running up. So as they head into the forest, looks like really the star of this leg, Silva Kempi from Espoon Sinter leading the way there. Inga Damba really done strongly. Haven't got Anna Neri and Lalan Sinistiat on the tracking there, I don't think. Oh no, we do have. They are dropping back down. It's the brown one. Looks like she'd made a really good start, but then kind of dropping behind. These four approaching this second to last control. I think we'll see them very, very shortly then in towards the finish to do that changeover. So if we're looking at the top teams, Espoon Sinter going to hand over to Hanna Hilo, who was third actually in the middle distance yesterday. That's a Finnish middle distance. Then Inga Damba going to hand over to Tulia Viberg for Paiman Rasti. SK Pointeti, that's Kirsi Nomi on the last leg. And the Tampere Perinto second team, the last leg will be run by Pilla Häkkönen. So here's Espoon Sinter in the lead then. Here's Silva Kempi, and this is really the runner of this leg and made a huge impact for her team. Absolute class running from her. And is getting ready to hand over. You can see all four women in the picture there. This kind of group of four. But really, Silva Kempi, fantastic in this last stretch. Managed to catch up so many places here. So she was in the changeover. She was in 16th place. So Silva Kempi catching up to 9th, then 3rd, and then into 1st as well. That is really, really incredible. Handing over to Hanna Hilo. Then we have Paiman Rasti. So Inga Damba caught up from 4th to 2nd. It's going to be the next one through. Then Tampere Perinto caught up from 6th to 3rd. That is their second team, of course. So there she goes, handing over to Hanna Hilo. This is Inga Damba here. Handing over now as well. Tampere Perinto 2. Again, climbing some places. SK Pointeti was out in the lead after a fantastic leg from Sari Antonen. I'm going to hand over to Kirsi Nurmi. You can see that she's waiting just there. We've got the team Helsing and Sinister Yacht. Actually, their first team has come to the changeover, going from 10th up to 6th. Going to hand over to Nura Hirinen. And now a load more teams coming in together. You've got Helsing and Sinister Yacht there. We've got MS Palmer. We've got Ruster Carhut as well. Tampere Perinto 1 on their way in. And after kind of, I guess, that leading 4, there's now a good group of runners in here. Lotta Irola for Tampere Perinto there, handing over to Milla Hirvonen. That's their first team. Emily Kemp there. And Anna Neri, here she is. Anna Neri coming in now. You can see that she's going to hand over now. And dropping quite a few places here, but going to hand over to Minna Kauppi, who, as we've said, is on some fresh legs. Here's another Paiman Rasti team. That's Evelina Hirvonen. Handing over to Sally Suominen. And then there we go, those 16 teams all in something of a train. After the first 4 had a bit of a gap.
No ei siinä ollut Lahden suunnitella Minna Kaupion ankkuroitu.
Mitä maastossa tapahtui? No alussa mä otin sieltä polkukiertovalintaa, niin mä en oikein nähnyt siinä
hirveästi, että miten tilanteet vaihteli, että otinko kiinni vai jäinkö, mutta sitten ne ekat pari rastia meni hyvin, mutta sitten kolmoselle kun lähdin, niin oli kyllä suunta ihan vinossa ja tuntui, että sitten näkyi hirveästi joukkoita siellä sen jälkeen ja sitten pääsin siellä, olisiko ollut Paimion kanssa, juoksin aika paljon ja en kyllä tiennyt yhtään tilannetta, että oliko siinä virheessä mennyt silleen sijoja vai ei, mutta sitten huudettiin vikalla rastilla, että kärki, niin sitten oli, että hyvin tämä meni. Luuletko, että se oli nyt enemmän suunnistustaitoa vai jalkojen voimaa vai mihin tänään ratkesi, että oli noin vahva juoksu? No kyllä juoksu tuntui tänään hyvältä ja ne suopatkat oli kyllä aika rankkoja niin kuin fyysisesti. Että kyllä siellä varmasti ratkottiin sielläkin, mutta laji on suunnistus, niin kyllä aina suunnistamalla tehdään niitä eroja myös. Ja virheet olivat riittävän pieniä sitten. Onnea ja tsemppiä nyt viimeiselle osuudelle Hannelle. Kiitos.
So Silva Kempi there, really good, really strong run from her. She said she felt quick and absolutely no surprise. Picking her team up into the lead. Of course, still not making really too many mistakes there. There were a few small errors. And of course the impact of the forking as well always plays a part of it. It's not until we get towards the very end that kind of everybody's on that level playing field after all the gaffles or the forkings. But I think she was talking about that, the decision making into the first control, whether to take the track or whether not to take the track. Different approaches, I think, basically need to be taken based on exactly which first control you have. And let's see what the approach is from the third leg runners when things get a little bit more spread out as well. And also the task of the third runner is quite different. The first two runners, you just want to be still in contention. But look, there's a confirmation of the kind of leg times for that leg. Silva Kempi, fantastic work there. Also from Ankelo of MS Palmer as well. But to be 29 seconds quicker than anybody else on that leg is very, very impressive. And no wonder she said she felt good. And then the third leg runners now out towards their first, kind of out towards the start line, out towards their first couple of controls. And a very similar challenge expected of them because we kind of lose our forking a little bit earlier on. But those first couple of controls still going to prove maybe a little bit of a challenge. Runners going in all sorts of directions. This is a little look over that kind of felled area that they've been running alongside, heading back towards the arena, which you can see there. Rain still coming down. And now again, look, you can see huge gaps back to, I guess, 17th and Katherine Rassi there, and then Helsing and Sinestiat and Lynx and everybody about 6 minutes behind. So all those kind of top 16 that were within 2 minutes, anything can happen in a relay. Any of them could be looking certainly for a top 10 result. Okay, let's have a little replay then of these top few teams starting their journey into the towards of first control. Really interesting to see those different route choices there. And Rusty Kahut, Mira Kaskinen, who's got the B control. Oh, that's a surprise for me, the B control to go along the track. Because now, but then you've still got track running until about kind of 150 meters, even less than that, away from the control. Just provides a lot of security, I think, as well, going from that vague area onto the more kind of detailed part of this hillside. It's certainly able to pick up a lot more speed than the likes of Espen Sinter for Hanna Hilo. Paiman Rusty in there as well. Oh, and then now we look at Espen Sinter now and Hanna Hilo. She's got the B control.
No niin, Merja Rantanen ja Jämsän retkiveikot täällä taas samoissa merkeissä. Monta kertaa aiemminkin haastatteluissa ollut, niin millä fiiliksillä tänään olit maastossa?
Olin hyvillä fiiliksillä ja on aika paljon jännittänyt tämä suunnistus, kun on niin vähän suunnistanut ja ylipäätään harjoitellutkin huomattavasti vähemmän kuin aikaisemmin. Niin pikkusen taas joutuu opettelemaan, vaikka vuosia takana, niin silti se on aina, että se vaatii sitä harjoitusta. Ja tänään olin yhtä rastia lukuun ottamatta, sain kyllä hyvän onnistumisen, niin antaa taas vähän itseluottamusta lisää kohti Jukolaa.
Eli Jukola on sitten edessä, onko tämä Lakeuden viesti nyt sopiva harjoitushetki siihen?
Kyllä tämä on, ei tässä montaa kisaa, että varmaan yksi kisa, minkä pystyy vielä menee ja sitten vaan mielikuvaharjoituksia pikkusen täytyy ottaa kehiin vielä, että saisi sielläkin onnistumisen, se olisi hienoa.
Se on hyvä, ehtii vielä pari kertaa lenkillekin.
No ehtii pari kertaa kyllä, yes. Hyvä.
Kiitos.
Kiitos.
Maya Rantanen saying she does less training than she used to. Well, yes. Former very, very top orienteer. But in this terrain around controls 1 and 2, you can see all these little contour shapes, making it really tricky. But no problems here. I think this is Mira Kaskinen. Ooh, full on stopping there. Just to get the right plan. The slightly longer leg towards control number 3, and mostly what the orienteers are going to be factoring in is the vegetation and also getting the right approach to the control, which is quite tricky. Let's have a little look for Mira Kaskinen there in the purple. Pretty sure. You can see the way she was just going over down to the slope to drop into the crag. Lots of people on her trail. It's been sent to Hanna Hilo, really going to be dropping back quite a bit there, I think, as just losing direction in towards the control, picking up the track to get in. And interestingly, yeah, Espen Sinter, Rasti Kahut, Mira Kaskinen going again like Anna Neri onto the track there. It was, I'm not sure, worth it for Anna Neri. So let's see what happens when we get to control 3, because that is where we're going to get the next time check. That's at the 2.4 kilometre mark of this 6.1k course. This is Laden Sinistayat. I think. Minakaupi and Espen Sinter as well. not at all easy to get through. So this is good to give us this kind of indication as to what that tricky terrain that they all want to avoid actually looks like. But now out of that semi-open area, back on towards these small hills, which you can kind of pick up and use to help that navigation. That was Vera Klemetinen just behind there. And yeah, here we go. We can see everybody's really grouped back up again. And I do think that is going to be not a good route choice for Mira Kaskinen there. I think she's going to drop back here. It was a fantastic route choice. It actually really paid off. Took the risk, number one. But I think it's going to not work out for number two. Loads of teams now. It looks like we're almost wipe the slate clean and start again on this third leg. And to be honest, kind of any team then that was in that top 16 is in with a chance. Here's the control. This is the third control. Let's see who we see through there first. Will it be Mira Kaskinen, who has taken that other route choice? Will it be even someone like Minna Kauppi catching up from the top? Who's going to be in there first? I can hear something out there in the forest. Oh, there we go. Here's some people who we can see, I think. This is Paimon Rasti. This is Tulia Wiberg, called up a place here. We've got Espen Sinter. This is Hanna Hillo. We've got Poyentetti there as well. Yeah, catching up a load of places. Minna Kauppi, fantastic stuff. We've got Vera Klemetinen from Santa Jyväskylä there as well. Mira Kaskinen was in that group as well. Amy Niemann from Pagas IF and Milla Hevonen from Tampere Perinto was the 8th person. So it's like basically a reset after this first 3 controls of leg 3. We have a group of 8. This is MS Palmer and Emma Katiamäki. So we're still missing Tampere Perinto 2. We're missing Helsingin Sinnestajat. Let's have a little look here. So this is the group then. That's the group of basically 8 heading out of control 3. MS Palmer into 9th. Does look like Espen Sinter and Hanna Hillo at the kind of front of that group. This looks like maybe the second Espen Sinter team. It is. Back up there, Elisa Vihalainen. Running quite alone here. Into 10th place. Here's another runner here. 2 runners. It's like 2 runners from Helsingin Sinnestajat. And again, like in the men's relay, a lot of these women looking forward to Venla and trying to put down a good performance, getting that kind of relay practice of what it is like running with so many people alongside. going to be making their case for being in the first team. Some extreme checking of control descriptions and of the right code there for Pepi Sikula. This is how things look then towards control number 4. A group of 8, still 8 teams in contention. I thought this one was going to be a bit close, especially with many of the national team runners not here today. I think it just tends to level the playing field. Although still some very experienced national team runners. Finland tends to take big old teams to those World Cups. There's lots of women with experience running, particularly this last leg. I think we're behind Paimin Rassi's Tulia Viberg now. You can see there's the Ladin Minna Kauppi, I think, is one of those leading runners in there. You can just see in the distance. Yeah, Minna Kauppi, you can see if that GPS tracking is looking good. She is A, in the lead, and B, absolutely bang on to control D, and C, dragging a lot of other people with her. Particularly, you've got Cynthia Vascular there, who's got F, really needs to kind of break away from that group now. Also got a few of the others who've got E. Espen Sunter maybe got E there. And now maybe they are starting to split up slightly, but looking really good for Minna Kauppi. So everybody with D, spot on there. Poyentetti, Paimin Rasti looks very, very strong. And then they've got the kind of closer one here. A lot of marsh running at this point. It's very, very typical for this part of Finland. And I think this is this group, as I was saying, who all had this D control. Poyentetti, and you can actually see them passing the other controls. I think that would be F. 5F. Just got to go through these marshes now. You can see the undergrowth changing, getting a lot deeper. The runnability is going to drop significantly. Yeah, you can see that's making good progress there. Not too many problems for those with the other controls. They did get slightly offline, but not really anybody kind of doing anything as extreme as going to the actual wrong control. And it's not just the amount of the kind of distance on these legs, it's also the different amount of like marsh running that it gives as well. There's Minna Kauppi in there, absolutely spot on to that D control, and now can go all the way to number 7 when we're going to get that next check. Kirsti Nurmi there was just following behind, or for Poyentetti also with control D. There we go, behind her now. And they can already go, they've kind of done this section on the islands. They can go back towards the main part of the terrain. There is a little bit of green, though, to kind of navigate around and through. That's going to prove quite tricky. Of course, there's all sorts of cameras, photographers, everybody out in there as well. I think this is Vera Klemetinen. for Sunta Jyväskylä. Just going to check. She's got the F control, so actually has a long way further to go. Focus IF, that's Amy Niemann. Again, a lot of the very strong runners on this last leg. And now a lot, you can see, have already got the E control. Not many with F here, but you can see that Vera Klemetinen does have to go that little bit further. And again, once again, these kind of top 8 teams, including many of the favourites, are being tested again, being split up, being challenged by these four kings, by the gaffles. Yeah, watch out for Amy Niemann on for Pargus PIF, the green one there. Really looks to be up close with those top ones. Oh, tampering printer mistake here at the 6th control at E. That's really tough there. Just kind of on the, a little bit too far north, just maybe not having quite the right line, going to the wrong hill. Very tough. Have to go back and watch all the other runners just nailing it and getting away from you. Okay, this is the 7th control. Here we go then. This is Minna Kauppi then. Wow, what a role Minna Kauppi is on right now. Would she have timed this race? She's so experienced. Kirsi Nurmi then into 2nd place for Poyentetti. Look, it's 14 places Minna Kauppi's managed to catch up. Catching up as well, Rasti Kurt, Mira Kaskin and Amy Niemann as well, also climbing places. So for those 4 runners now within 13 seconds. Let's see who's going to come through next. Here's another runner we can see just in the picture now. This looks like Penguin Rasti and Tulia Viberg in their white kits. Also, should see some other runners through very soon. Maybe some of those who had the F forking. This looks like, this is Vera Klemetinen. We've also got, I think this is Espen Sunta, Hanna Hilu, who will have certainly dropped some places because they had a fantastic 2nd leg for Espen Sunta. So 7 teams through here. And I guess, yes, it's the mistake that we saw on the GPS tracking. We had kind of got 8 teams all in contention. And it was Tampere Perinto who we saw making a mistake there at the forking, which means they've dropped off this kind of, well, it's not really a pack, but let's call it a pack of 7. So actually dropping places, Tampere Perinto dropping off this something of a pack. Okay. Let's have a little look here. We've not got everybody on the tracking though. I think some of them we've lost signal for, so it's kind of hard to say, but you can really see that a lot of this kind of orienteering is finding these smaller, it's these micro route choices. It's finding the quick places to run rather than necessarily in the navigation, although we have seen a few mistakes, especially when it comes to the forked controls. There's Tampere Perinto after Mila Hirvonen a little bit stuck. Tampere Perinto definitely not with their kind of top runners out in the forest today. I think this is Amy Niemann who we're behind now for PIF. And you can see she's not in the lead. We can see some of the runners just ahead. She is, again, such a strong runner. There we can see her. We've got Poyentetti. We've got Sunistajats in the lead. And you can see that she's probably about 20 seconds behind. That's the estimation from the GPS tracking that Amy Niemann, who we were just behind, is dropped off slightly. So she was about 12 seconds down, and those leaders are now dropping a little bit more as we add in Mira Kaskinen in the purple as well into the picture. But it really looks like those two, the top two, have managed to get a gap. The gap only looks like it's 10, 11 seconds, but maybe as you head into some of this green, it gets a little bit more significant. But it looks like really those top 4 teams definitely all still in with a chance of winning it. We saw a few different route choice options towards the latter few controls. And again, it's just about finding where is really, really fast, where's really, really good to run, especially on that kind of long leg. Not going to go too far off the straight line, but it's kind of, I think a home advantage is good here. It's good to know what types of undergrowth, even like that semi-open area, how that tends to be mapped and how runnable that tends to be as well. Maybe looks like third place just dropping her back a bit. Mira Kaskinen. Maybe now we've got those two kind of bigger groups forming. Two definitive groups, the top two and then third and fourth. But really with 16 teams, I guess, in contention for after the changeover of the second leg, it's really exciting to see loads of chopping and changing, loads of changing of places in this relay. Keeps it very exciting, and I still don't really know what's going to happen. I think it's about who's got the legs still, and Minna Kauppi is going to be feeling very happy that she chose to sit out yesterday's middle distance, where there was not just one but 2 races, because here she is looking absolutely fantastic, really being very, very closely shadowed by Kirsi Nomi, but it looks like Minna Kauppi is kind of being the more active orienteer, sitting ahead, and the two of them are going to be really trying to psych each other out. There's Mira Kaskinen and Amy Niemann there as well. So that's third and fourth. So it does look, the third and fourth may well be able to see the leaders still, I think. But certainly a couple of different groups forming. Here's Sinta, I think, and Cynthia Veskala as well. Maybe Vera Klemetinen in there. This is the 9th control. We don't have any kind of time check, particularly at this one. We'll have another time check at the next one, or the last control even, I think, as well. Let's have a little look then. Yeah, we did see Klemetinen through there. And I don't know if it's a GPS tracking thing or if they aren't going towards this ride, but actually I'm quite surprised to see everybody going the same way, or following in exactly in each other's footsteps. But look how closely the top two are just shadowing each other. I'm really hoping we're going to get some sort of a chase here, and this is kind of the main track. As you can see the ride in the background, they might go all the way out to this track, and then kind of just behind the camera is that feld area where I expect to see them kind of running alongside. Minna Kauppi in the lead, really like almost shadowing every single footstep is Kirsi Nomi, and I think she just wants to kind of apply that pressure, maybe hoping that she can take it on the last kind of control on the run in even, or trying to force Minna Kauppi to do something wrong, but she's so experienced, and both these runners are very experienced, and they head quite deftly out onto the edge of this open area where you've got, it's not really marked on the map, at least here. It's marked just as a vegetation boundary, to be honest. But most people have stayed. Yeah, they go back into the into the open. There is basically, like, you can see a little vehicle track here that's been used to extract the trees when it was felled. And makes for pretty good running, and there's enough detail on here to get a good kind of point to attack this second to last control. But I mean, Kirsi barely has to look at a map here. They're just going to shadow these two, and they'll be able to hear each other's breathing, be able to kind of make a decision about when to really step up the pace. But there we go, literally following step by step. That's the kind of tactics you need to have if you're going to end up doing this one. So looks like actually Amy Niemann, she was looking so good, but maybe just not got the legs right now, because she's dropping back here, really dropping back, and it looks like Mira Kaskinen is looking a little bit better, but there is that bigger group that's kind of all in around fourth place that are looking really strong here. So they've got a little control on the knoll yet to find. You can just see the heads raised, just looking around. The visibility is so good here. Got a little bit of green to kind of help guide in as well. I think we'll see them kind of drop down any moment. And one team will win. It'll be one of these two, unless something drastically goes wrong to this last control. There's the control itself. Really good punching technique from Minna Kauppi. And this is the race then on towards the last control. You can see we're looking towards kind of Klemetinen, and actually Klemetinen is on the chase here now, really. Looking fantastic. This is Mira Kaskinen from Rastikahut, just into third place now, but I think there's loads of people chasing her. There we go. I wouldn't be surprised if she gets caught. You can see Vera Klemetinen from Cynthia Veskila was there. Not sure who else we saw in the blue kit. Maybe it was Hannah Hilo from Espen Sinter. Okay, then this is the last control. The last control just out of sight there. We can see who comes around it first. It is Minna Kauppi. And she's actually got quite a few seconds then on Kirsi Nomi, who she's just put her foot down, and Minna Kauppi by, really the piece of the puzzle needed to take this win today for Lahden Sinnestajat. They've done absolutely fantastic. Not got a top 3 in any of the Finnish Relay League results so far. She looks behind her, but the gap is by far enough. She's got the fresher legs. It is a fantastic performance then from this team. The first 2 leg runners on this team did exactly what they needed to do to just kind of keep them enough in contention. Karolina Uskoski was fantastic, changing over into second place. Anna Neri had a great first part, but kind of dropped a bit into 15th place, but still a minute and a half behind the leaders at that point after the second leg. But Minna Kauppi, such a strong performance. It's going to be the Skepointeti with Kirsi Nomi on the last leg. There they are into third place. Fantastic team there. And we've got a little bit of a run out for third place here. Let's see who's going to be able to do it. Just can't quite see behind there, but I wonder if it's going to be Rastika Mira Kaskinen into third place, just keeping off this big old stream of people who are following behind. This is Espen Sinter and Hannah Hilu, who was third in yesterday's middle distance, in there as well. Sinter Veskala, there's Vera Klemetinen just punching there, and Amy Niemann finishing there for PIF was was in a good third place. I think it was caught overall, but was could have hung on maybe for a third place, just had maybe some tired legs right at the end. But there we go, already looking at the exactly what happened with that whole team. Amazing work. This is Paimon Rasti, I think. This is Tulia Viberg, who, again, I think has had some struggles on here. Was actually changed over in second place, was actually in the lead at the first intermediary, but dropping a few different places here after being in the team with Ina Vesterlund and Inga Damba. So not quite a top 5 for them, but still a great kind of overall team performance. And so those are the top 7 we were talking about. I'm not sure. We're looking for Tampere Perinto, where they're going to end up. It's going to be their worst result for this Finnish Relay League overall. Going to go into, I think, 8th place. They should be here very, very soon. But very, very happy and very, very well-deserved overall team performance. All the team just kind of kept them in contention. And hand over to Minna Kauppi, who could just really be unleashed on the last leg. And for me, impressive performance from her. Maybe the performance of this women's relay for me. And they've been deserved with smiles all round. Here is Milla Hirvonen, and it's going to be 8th place for them. Yeah, we saw the, mistake around about that 6th, 7th control. Yeah, it was that 6th control in amongst the massive marsh where she had some problems, but still into 8th position. And certainly a lot of these women will be putting their cases forwards to be in the first teams for Venla in only a few weeks' time now. That's the second place team. Escape Boyentetti, Kirsi Nurmi there on the last leg. And they've got to be pretty happy with that, able to get that gap with those first 2 teams, managing just to get a gap on the rest of the field. Didn't quite have the legs at the finish, but fantastic orienteering again for that whole team in amongst the leaders the whole time. Now looking to be 4 minutes back. Got a couple of teams on their way in towards the finish now. We will catch a few more of the runners, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to have a little word with the winning team. Yeah.
Tää olihan se pohjalaista.
Lahden suunnistajat, onneksi olkoon Viestiliigan voitosta.
Yes, kiitos. Hyvä me.
Mahtavasti vedetty ja olipa jännittävä ankkuriosuus. Missä Minna mielestäsi tilanne ratkesi?
No tossa meillä oli varmaan vähän eri hajontoja siellä jossain puolivälin jälkeen. Ja sitten jos mä kuulin vaan, että joku seuraa, en katsonut yhtään kuka seuraa. Ja tuli siinä just sopivasti aina vanavedessä. Ja tiukkoja pisteitä oli, niin oli pakko vähän aina hiljentää rasteille, kun ei ollut hirveästi luettavaa. Mutta nakutin rastilta rastille ja sitten katsoin lopussa pari juoksuväliä. Ja nyt pistetään vähän kaasua pohjaa ja lopussa sitten vielä vähän enemmän kaasupohjaa, niin se oli sitten siinä.
Siltä se näytti tuosta GPS:ssä ja juoksukamerakin tuli siinä perässä ja aika varmasti tuli tokavikalle. Oliko missään vaiheessa tänään semmoista epävarmuuden tuntua?
No oli siellä just, kun siellä on niin tämmöistä aakeita niin kuin täällä lakeuksilla nyt yleensä on, niin siellä ei ole niin paljon luettavaa, niin tosi tarkasti pitää mennä suunnassa ja vaan luottaa siihen, että tulee oikealla tasolla. Niin kyllä sitä epävarmuuttakin oli ja sen takia joutui vähän rauhoittaa välillä menoa, mutta aika hyvin sitten kuitenkin napsu kohilleen.
Mites Anna Närhi, toinen osuus meni myös sinulta aika hienosti ja oli selkeät hyvät asetelmat lähteä ankkuriosuudelle. Mitä omat mietteet sieltä maastosta ovat?
No joo, oli kyllä semmoinen torjuntavoitto, että on selkä aika kippeä tässä näin, niin oli aika kysymysmerkki mitä tulee, mutta ei onneksi haitannut tänään selkä hirveästi, mutta ei ollut sille fyysisestikään kyllä oikeasti hirveästi mitään annettavaa, niin yritin varoikkoa mitä pystyy. Onneksi kävin se yhden pitkän hajonnan sieltä suolta hakemaan, niin Minna ei tarvinnut siinä sitten lähteä näistä kiertämään. Mutta siis täytyy sanoa, että ihan tyytyväinen, vaikka tuli sijoja takkiin, mutta että ei repsahtanut ero liian isoksi, niin se oli ihan hyvä juoksu.
Anna on taistelija, viestitaistelija. Viestitaistelijoita tarvitaan ja myös sitten Venäjän viesti, joka lähestyy. Onko teillä sinne jo selvät sävelet ja tämä taktikointia vai millaisia valmisteluja vielä aiotaan tehdä?
No, meillä on tänäkin vuonna vähän positiivinen ongelma, että on niin paljon kovia naisia, että joudutaan vielä vähän karsimaan, että ei ole vielä ihan selkeää, että kuka mahtuu ykköseen ja kuka sitten on kovassa kakkosjoukkueessa. Että vielä katsotaan, että taisi olla, että Helsinki All Games on sitten viimeinen näytön paikka vielä meidän naisilla, että sen jälkeen sitten lopulliset päätökset.
Eli Helsinki All Gamesissa on luvassa myös lahtelaista ilotulitusta, näin uskallan sanoa. Onnittelut vielä lämpimästi koko joukkueelle. Kiitos.
So celebrations in Lahti for Lahden Synestheat taking the win there. Interesting to say they've maybe they have got their team sorted out for Venla, but they're not giving away anything at all. Really interesting to see that Minna Kauppi didn't know who was following her. She just didn't look around, was just completely focused on her own orienteering and then had the gas to really give it at the end. She said you just had to be right on your compass and trust that you were going to come across the control, which she absolutely did. Really kind of tough orienteering there today, but quality performance. Amy, we also had Anna Neri saying that her back was really causing her some problems, that she's just trying to hang on at the end. And she did drop places, but she managed to hang on enough to give that gap across to the other athletes as well. Really, really fantastic stuff. So that is it from the third leg of this Viestiliiga from the Finnish Relay League. Great to see the two teams, Katherine, Nuseva Voima, and of course Lahden Synestheat taking the 2 wins. The fourth leg of the 7 kind of relays to happen for this year's Finnish Relay League will of course be Jukala. We will be back there covering all of the action for one of the highlights of the orienteering calendar. It's going to be very, very exciting one to see what the performances can be like over there. But for the moment, we'll leave you with some more of the pictures from the race and we'll be back at Jukala very soon.